Mom held Crow in her arms, wondering what he would become when he grew up, and he excitedly said he would be a real superhero. His father said it would take hard work, but more than anything, he wanted his son to grow up kind and helpful to others in tough times, just like the hero in the poem he was holding. But when he grew up, he was fired from the company where he had worked for 10 years. You were surprised by what your boss Hoshikawa was talking about, especially since you're only 20 years old. Pushikawa's side insists this is just a routine reorganization because the company is currently facing tough times. But the hero gave up his weekends and worked overtime without rest. You can't just blame him out of nowhere. But whining won't help. It won't change anything. Is he implying that he plans to harm those who helped him? The hero will always be grateful to Hoshikawa for hiring him while he was still preparing for exams and had just lost his father in an accident, as that job allowed him to take care of his sister. Even while he was alive, my father often proudly talked about him, saying his son was very smart and hard-working, and that even back in school, he had knowledge that could rival the CEO of a big company. If the hero wants to apply their knowledge practically to their own situation, to have even a small chance, you probably need to be born again. The hero firmly clenched his hand. I bow in gratitude to Hoshikawa for these 10 years. Chicago got up because he had an important meeting and asked the hero to fill out the document and leave it on the table. After fulfilling his request, the hero left the company building. Suddenly his sister messaged him to say she'd gotten a job and could now take care of herself, and she thanked him for all his support over the years. The hero smiled and sighed with relief. His father always said, "Cherish every act of kindness and always repay help. Do good, and it will surely come back to you." He does good not to get something in return, but because he wants to be a strong and kind person. The book he holds is like a compass left by his parents to guide him through life. And suddenly he notices a child running across the street with a truck coming straight toward them. He immediately rushed to the child and pushed her aside, taking the blow himself. The hero accepted his fate and tried to live honestly, blaming no one, enduring everything that came his way, and in the end receiving nothing more than that. He's just happy that the child is okay. He can say it sincerely, from the bottom of his heart, and he's sure that's the reason. He recalled a poem from a book his parents left him, about how neither rain nor wind can defeat you. A strong body. This person fears neither snow nor summer heat, always smiles calmly, lives without greed or anger, eats 4 bowls of brown rice, some miso, and a few vegetables daily, puts others first in everything, listens carefully, understands deeply, and never forgets anything. Living in a small hut with a thatched roof under the pines. If someone dies in the south, go to them and tell them not to be afraid. If a sick child is in the east, stay with them and take care of them. If a tired mother is carrying a heavy sack of rice in the west, help her. And if people are arguing or fighting in the north, tell them not to do foolish things. I cry during the drought and everyone thinks I'm crazy. They're not praised, but they're not seen as a burden either. He believes he has become that kind of person. He used to be known as Hero Ijima. Now he's completely different. A 13-year-old hero named Rotwell who has been living in a new world ever since his transformation. This is the territory of Rotwell, which is part of the kingdom of Asgard. He was born the elder of twins into the influential Rotwell family, a noble house that stands as one of the 2 main pillars supporting the royal knights. Just like in his past life, he now has everything one could dream of. But as the heir to this land, he can't simply enjoy his happiness. At that moment, Maris, the second child in the Rotwell family, came up to him and asked what he was looking at. He replied that he wasn't looking at anything, just feeling uneasy about something in this town. The birthday party was really fun, so Marison wondered why anyone should worry. After all, it was all about the huge number of shopping carts. The hero told Marison to take a closer look. All these carts belong to merchants from outside their territory, and if you pay attention, you can see the carts leaving are empty. This means that the movement of goods across their territory has completely stopped. And if this continues, it will become very difficult for people to survive. The head housekeeper also complained that due to shortages, prices had risen too high, making it hard for her to get even the most basic essentials. Harrison denied that the disaster in their birth year caused their lands to yield crops twice as fast as usual. That's why they can collect half of the income in taxes. It was this very confidence that caused the real problem. He scratched the back of his head, thinking it was all too complicated for him, and said one thing: if nothing changes, trouble is coming. And before that happens, he must save his people from these unbearable taxes. As the eldest son, only he can do it. Soon he will receive a message from the gods granting him powers related to leadership and warfare. And with the experience from his past life, he's confident he can make things better. This message is just the first step. Harrison started running, urging the hero to hurry to the church, warning that if they were late, they might miss the oracle's ceremony. which they definitely didn't want, all while giving the hero a genuine smile. But when he turned away, he barely held back his anger, gritting his teeth. At the Holy Church Cathedral, in the Hall of Oracles, Lord Rotwell stood beside the high priest, scolding them both for being late, and Morrison apologized, explaining they got caught up in conversation and lost track of time. Oliver approached the heir and told him he wasn't acting like a future leader should, reminding him that the fate of their entire family depends on the prophecy made today. A divine prophecy is a special message from the gods that a person receives as they come of age, appearing as a sacred text. The Air Force could have 4 opportunities, 2 related to management and 2 linked to military power. Finally, the high priest began the prophecy ritual, ordering the sacred books to be opened and everyone to pray. An angel appeared behind him. The hero closed his eyes. Scrolls fell all around him. The priest was amazed to receive such a powerful revelation, and then he explained what it meant. There are 2 control options, and it seems both will deliver good results. Here, you get a random prize, just like in gacha games. Pro asked what gacha was and if it was some new military order. But the high priest had never heard of it, so he decided to use a revelation to find out what it really meant. I activated the all-seeing eye. He groaned in pain and collapsed to the ground. It seems like God doesn't like this text. He stood up and seriously explained to Oliver just how important this matter was. Maybe the princess was cursed by a demon. If that's true, everyone wonders what will happen to their family's reputation in the kingdom, and the high priest believes their house could be doomed if it continues. I never really thought about whether anything could be changed. The high priest advised sending the hero far away into the wilderness and choosing a new successor. It's a tough decision, but he believes it's for the best. At that moment, Morrison called out to his father, saying that thinking the eldest son was the hero was already a mistake, and Oliver was about to prove him right. When he saw the scroll that Marathon was holding, it's very important that all texts are reviewed. There's one more scroll that Morrison asked the high priest to check. This is the sacred text of the Maxwells, their sword of protection, a true miracle. With this discovery, Oliver's dream of independence for their lands becomes possible. He grabbed Morrison by the shoulders and praised him for a job well done, just like he would with his own son. Hearing this, the hero objected, saying he was the elder son. He froze when he saw his father's and brother's faces. They looked at him as if he disgusted them. If they kick the hero out right now, it will disgrace their whole family. So, Morrison suggested taking him into the family and giving him land to manage, since the boy was interested in politics. But he couldn't agree to that. Father Oliver has already made his decision. He couldn't believe it. Did his father really say that seriously? Since the hero will become Morrison's adoptive brother, he believes this land shouldn't be entrusted to an ordinary subordinate. So Oliver decided to give the Wildwood heroes their own territory. The hero clenched his fist. He had always done it that way, even in his past life. Before kneeling down and taking on the responsibility of managing this dreadful forest, Oliver couldn't stop thinking about what he'd done, but he chose to keep it to himself. The high priest confirmed that the Rotwell family is the only one entitled to use the oracle. Oliver walked past the hero. They also needed to get ready for the celebration honoring the discovery of the secret of the air. He called Marisan over, and before leaving, Marisan sat down beside the hero, knowing this was their last chance to talk and the perfect moment to say everything. He always envied the hero because everyone loved him just for being born a few minutes earlier. Harrison gently patted the hero's head with a warm smile, though his words cut painfully deep. Before saying goodbye and leaving, the hero also stood up and said this wasn't their last meeting. Even in this world, his core values stayed the same. But everything truly begins here and now, as he starts his life as the ruler of these lands. He's carrying a heavy backpack on his back. He was walking through the forest, though it seemed like he was slowly getting lost. If things keep going like this, everything will turn out just as Morrison said. He needs to get to that area quickly. His lands, Wildwood, are known to be harsh and dangerous, filled with monsters, making trade and farming impossible to thrive. But he carries a wealth of knowledge from his past life, which will definitely help him save his people. And if things get really tough, he has a backup plan. He noticed an injured person leaning against a tree and realized something was wrong. Tell a woman who is having trouble breathing to ask herself if she is okay. He placed his hand on her shoulder and asked if she could hear him, but when he saw she didn't respond, he decided to move her. Later, lying on the ground, she noticed a deep wound on her back. Definitely not something a beginner could handle, and there was no doctor nearby. He reached into his backpack, wondering if there was anything useful inside. That's it. He took the elixir, and now with its help he can save her. Open the bottle and help the woman take a drink. The elixir his grandfather gave him at birth can heal any injury or illness with just one sip. It's truly a magical potion. This is such a valuable item that even a single bottle could let a nobleman live in luxury for a lifetime. It's his only treasure and last backup plan if things go really wrong in the territory. He remembered a poem from a book he read in a past life and decided to help this woman. The woman drank the elixir. After activating these blessings, Solave quadruples the power of healing magic, and the divine hands further enhance its effectiveness. Thanks to these two gifts, the woman's wound began to heal quickly. I felt a wave of relief. It was an incredible feeling. He was about to spend all his savings when he suddenly spotted a book in the distance. There was a mark on the cover decoration. If you look closely, you can see that not only the image of the woman is worn, perhaps it represents some kind of gift, a good deed, or a divine revelation. Well, that's how it is for now. It seems like she's been saved, though everything else except her body is still in complete chaos. So he decided to figure it out while he still had the chance. After a while, the woman finally woke up. While she was there, she turns away in surprise when she hears the hero ask how her body feels. She noticed her cloak was gone and something was covering her body, so she asked the hero what he had been doing while she was asleep. She simply fixed her torn cloak and handed it back. She put it on and asked if he was the one who saved her. Zero introduced himself and explained why he was here. He was heading the right way when he came across her. She was lying there, badly wounded. A doctor was nearby and gave her the medicine he had with him, but she didn't trust him. People capture half-humans and enslave them. She suspects he's either a slave trader or part of a band of robbers. The Rotwell family is one of the most renowned noble houses serving the knights of the Asgard kingdom, and people like them never appear here without a proper escort. Such a deep wound can't be healed by any medicine. No such cure exists. She didn't finish speaking because she noticed a bottle rolling across the floor. This pattern and emblem show that this is an empty bottle from the elixir. It's the genuine original. The hero had only one bottle, so he was just glad everything worked out. The woman looked calmer and wondered why he had wasted such an expensive potion on a beast man he didn't even know. Ask yourself, is it really strange to help someone who is about to die? The elixir isn't really that valuable when you compare it to the worth of a life. The woman looked at him with surprise. She couldn't hold back and laughed. It was the first time she'd seen an aristocrat say something like that with a serious face. He's not entirely sure if he can still be considered noble. Under certain circumstances, he could no longer stay with his family, so now he's been made the adopted heir and given the responsibility to govern one of the territories. She's in a similar situation. She ended up in this forest because she brought shame to her clan. Amelia is from the Cat Ears tribe, where there's a rule to always repay debts, but she doesn't know how to pay back a debt for something like an elixir. At that moment, her ears perked up. She turned around and the hero asked what had happened. Amelia said there are enemies nearby, but they're not the ones who hurt her. We're talking about those who hid behind the bushes. Those troublemakers came out, clicking their tongues. When they first saw the hero, they thought he was just a rich guy out for a walk, never guessing he had a beastly servant with him. They were bandits, and from the way the man ahead spoke, the heroes realized they had come specifically for him. Amelia asked the hero to let her start repaying him early, little by little, step by step. She will distract them, so he should take advantage of that and escape. Zero began to doubt whether she could handle such a big task all on her own. She thought she wouldn't succeed. The rival warrior tribe is known for their fighting skills, but they are one of the weakest clans, unlikely to stand up even to bandits, yet still. She buys him a little time to escape as she lunges forward. The hero stops her from behind. All the bandits are getting ready to fight back. The man with black hair in front raised his fist, ready to strike. But after he activated the Danger Sense skill, which reveals all threats around him within a full 360-degree radius, Amelia quickly dodged and grabbed his wrist. Smash him to the ground. A proud warrior from the Kot tribe is nothing like spoiled house cats. It is believed that if she is alone, even as a member of the feline warrior tribe, she won't be able to do anything if she's surrounded. A James Bond-style guy and a mohawk-wearing friend jumped up and attacked the attacker from behind. She dodged using 3-dimensional maneuvering that boosts her sprint speed 4 times, then jumped onto a tree branch while the bandits below grumbled. But she didn't even let them finish speaking. She quickly came down and immediately struck them on the heads. Fetty was the last robber standing and still foolish enough to charge forward. Nelia quickly dodged his punch. She slapped herself so hard that her head snapped to the side, but he kept acting tough and mocked her weak little cat punch. She raised her fist for another strike, and Fadi immediately covered his face with his hands. Nelia just hit him right between the legs, instantly taking away 1,000 health points. The speedy hero can run very fast, and even if she hits him many times, she doesn't have enough strength to defeat him. Even when she says all the enemies are already defeated, it still throws Amelia off. He stood by her and praised her strength, because calling her weak would be a serious understatement. It's strange, her movements seem sharper than usual, and she looks much stronger, almost intimidating. Maybe it's some kind of side effect from the elixir? No, elixirs don't improve your skill level with the technique. Suddenly, someone grabbed the hero by the shoulders. This unexpected person figured the hero must have some kind of divine blessing for hitting animals with perfect shots or something like that. Amelia advised the hero to stay still. That man was truly very dangerous. I asked her what she meant. She explained that she neither felt him nor heard a single sound, thanks to the divine blessing called the danger sense. Warrior cats can fully understand what's happening around them. The man praised her talent but warned her not to get too proud. Even people can do this with enough practice. He instantly appeared behind her, holding the heroes in his arms. Amelia wondered what he planned to do with them, and he replied that, of course, he would handle everything properly. He turned to the bandits, asking how much longer they would lie there, and ordered them to get up. They stood up, thinking their boss had come to save them. They acted so confidently that they even started threatening the hero and Amelia, but didn't get to finish their threats. The boss respectfully bowed to the two and apologized. The hero and Amelia were confused because everything happened so suddenly. This man is Smirnov, the leader of the gang around here. They call themselves noble thieves and never harm innocent people. The black-haired bandit complained that their money situation was so bad they couldn't even afford food, saying they'd starve, eat weeds, and be left drinking only vodka every day. Munov stood up and hit himself on the head, deciding he wouldn't live a life he'd be ashamed of before the heavens. Just like the Munov family always does. He believes it's his duty to keep his team disciplined, and is ready to apologize sincerely. But right now, he has no money at all. He suggested they agree on something else. Smirnov handed the hero a scroll, and he was surprised, not knowing what it was. He opened it and saw that it was a wanted notice for Smirnov. It turned out he was a master swordsman, and there was an S-rank bounty on his head. The reward is even greater than the cost of the elixir, and the title Holy Sword is the highest honor a swordsman can achieve. The bandits started arguing and offered to take the blame themselves, but he stopped them. He said that people like them weren't needed in the Smirnov family, so he kicked them out and told them to go back to their village and take up farming. They walk away, and he warns them not to ever let him catch sight of them again. At that moment, Smirnov and Amelia realized something was wrong, and he quickly told them to turn back. But it was already too late. They were thrown back as if struck by a giant axe. Mironov exclaimed in surprise. He turned back once more to the bodies of his comrades left lying behind him. Looking back, he saw a huge minotaur suddenly appear. Helia fell to the ground and Smirnov turned to them, asking why they had stopped when they needed to run away quickly. The minotaur lunges at the hero and Amelia, shouting something unintelligible. She raised the axe. If this thing hits, they're done for. Nirnaf lunged forward to stop the minotaur's axe, determined not to let another life be lost. He thought the hero was a beast tamer and asked if he had any divine power to calm the minotaur, but the hero wasn't a tamer and had no blessings. Well, nothing could be done. It looks like Smirnov will have to handle this on his own. You quickly dodged to the side, barely avoiding the minotaur's axe strike. He landed right next to the two of them. The hero was advised to take Amelia and run while he still could, but he refused to leave his friend behind. But he immediately tensed up when he heard Smirnov say that a man must risk his life when necessary, yet a real man knows when to step back. She thought it over and advised Amelia to go find Smirnov's people and ask for help. But Amelia didn't listen. She quietly muttered to herself that someone was watching her, and if things kept going this way, everyone would be in danger. The heroine realized that it was the Minotaur who caused her injury. She apologized, asked him to forget her, and run away. Suddenly, Smirnov interrupts and asks why they aren't running away and what they're doing, warning that this tense situation won't last long. Suddenly, the Minotaur started to breathe in deeply, unleashing a fiery breath. He stood before Amelia and told her to run, staying behind to protect her. It seems he'll die again saving someone in this life, which might not be the worst way to go. The fire touched the hero, and he was surprised that he didn't feel hot at all. So even if he can stop the flames, it doesn't change anything. Something has to be done, and his eyes fell on that same book. Here's the solution. The only thing he has is a special divine blessing that even the high priest can't decipher. He doesn't know what it's for, how it works, or even if he'll be able to turn it on. You have to try, because there's no other way. Just like the high priest said, even if it might be dangerous. It was the only thing he had. Everything depends on your potential. He looked at his divine blessing with awe and wonder. The divine lottery offers a chance to earn blessings from the gods through good deeds. The hero wonders about this power, realizing that by sacrificing oneself and overcoming challenges, one can gain the gods' favor, which is recorded in a special book and can later be exchanged for treasures and supernatural abilities. It's basically a lottery. In his past life, he was never lucky in draws no matter how much he played, but now he had no time to hesitate. I have activated my divine blessing. He accidentally won a book lottery, and one of the books landed right in his hands. I wondered what it was because it seemed like just an innocent child. The legendary throne of the divine dragon lord just did something amazing. A large egg wrapped in talismans appeared. The exit from the scroll of the divine dragon duke. This is the egg of the divine dragon. Then he asked the dragon inside the egg to be born and protect them, but suddenly noticed a note stuck to the outside of the egg. The user manual explains that the divine dragon grows slowly, so you need to provide good conditions for its growth and hatching. It loves all kinds of meat, prefers dogs, and appreciates people who stay calm. The hero was sweating heavily. It was really tough, and it seemed like everyone was doomed, when suddenly he heard a voice warning him to be careful. Fortunately, Smirnov managed to shield them with his own body and save them. When the smoke cleared, he asked them if they were all right. Suddenly, they felt the ground begin to shake. This is an ancient dragon. Smirnov won't be able to handle this task alone, and managing two at once is simply impossible. An ancient dragon irritably asks why the Minotaur is making so much noise when he's already starving. Maybe because the bull part of the Minotaur got burned by his fiery breath. The air smells surprisingly good, even though it's not edible. He wrapped his tail around his neck and threw him into the sky. He can't eat it, so he'll just burn it with his dragon breath. The roar of the sacred dragon. Did that really save them? But dragons are supposed to help humans, right? That's something you only hear in legends, and this one is on the ancient dragon's side. Of course, that's exactly what he did. What can a proud dragon gain by helping a human? He came only because he sensed the presence of another dragon. It seems it didn't come from an egg. He asked the hero where it came from, and the hero explained that instead of bringing it, it just appeared on its own. In that case, this ancient dragon will take him under its wing, because you can't just leave him on the ground. This egg is the last memory of the late divine dragon duke, and it would be a disgrace for dragons if it fell into human hands. He turned to leave, reminding them not to forget that he saved their lives, even if it was by accident. Before he could fully turn around, the hero asked if he could be the one to take care of it, because that child was a power granted to him by the gods. The ancient dragon glared at him angrily, and they immediately heard a rumble. Off stood in front of them and told them to run while he held back the ancient dragon, since it seemed he had hit a sore spot. The ancient dragon apologized, explaining that his stomach was just growling from hunger. He was used to a refined and delicious lifestyle, gained a bit of weight, and if he moves suddenly, he feels dizzy and his joints ache. Now he's on a fasting diet and doesn't even have the strength to lift off the ground. Smirnov scratched his head, truly disappointed, when suddenly they heard the roar again. This time, Amelia Stomack said it, apologizing and feeling a bit awkward. When the hero finally felt safe, he suddenly got hungry, and the same happened to Smirnov. But in their stash, there were only wild plants and moonshine. Well, if anything, he had a few other things in his bag. The magical family heirloom passed down through the Smirnov generations is a whole pig marinated in soy sauce with spices, sugar, salt, and warming herbs. I was surprised to see soy sauce, and even the ancient dragon sniffed the bottle, wondering if this sauce was truly special. He just smiled and told them to trust him with everything, promising they definitely wouldn't regret it. Meanwhile, Smirnov's people were enjoying the dishes prepared by the heroes. The ancient dragon and Smirnov really liked it and asked what kind of dish it was. Pork with ginger and the spicy hearty meat stew. Glad they liked it. Amelia praised the texture of the ingredient in the hot pot and asked what it was. The hero calmly picked up the slug and said, "This is it," causing Amelia to almost choke on her food. He heard from the maid that it was edible, and she showed him how to prepare it. It looked strange, but tasted quite good. Since there are plenty of slugs here, they can eat as much as they want. Smirnov joined their conversation because he had been wanting to ask them something for a while. These places are so dangerous that even adventurers avoid them. They're definitely no spot for noble strolls, so what are they doing here? The hero was walking to his destination when he saw Amelia fainting along the way. When Smirnov asked what happened, Amelia explained that she was called a disgrace to her family, so it was like a test or a challenge of strength. So, does that mean she fought the Minotaur in a test of strength? You could say that. It's no wonder she was close to death. Luckily, the hero had a potion with him. Turnoff was surprised to learn the hero had used the elixir on some unknown beast man, and asked where he got such a rare item, to which the hero replied it was a gift from his grandfather. He is actually the eldest son of the Rotwell family, one of the most famous aristocratic families in the country, so Smirnov immediately sensed that something was off. That's right. The hero didn't receive the needed sign from the gods, so his younger brother will inherit the home. After that, he was adopted and made ruler of the Great Forest. Basically, he was just kicked out. Smirnov had heard similar stories among the nobility before, but the hero was lucky. Thanks to his cleverness, he got a chance to reclaim his home. But the hero had no intention of going back to his family, nor did he want to lose his head. Smirnov doubted his words. He had no money at all and couldn't survive here. But the hero would rather stay broke than betray the one who saved his life. He's just too kind. That's all there is to it. He doesn't get anything out of it, and that suits him just fine, because he wants to help those in need and bring joy to others, more than yourself. Smirnov had never met such a kind person before. Then he asked Amelia if she would stay with the hero, and she said yes, wanting to gradually repay him for the elixir, so Smirnov decided to join their team as well. When his people get to work, they can do twice as much physical labor as anyone else, and if needed, they can fight well too. Maybe they're criminals now, but they used to have their own principles, and he believes that under the hero's leadership, they can do good. When he took them in, the hero made them promise not to use violence or steal, and Smirnov agreed without hesitation. They had just shaken hands when suddenly an ancient dragon swooped down toward them. Let me explain what it's like to be ignored. Ugh, he reeks of alcohol. The ancient dragon was so impressed by the dish the heroes prepared that he wondered if they might be the ones worthy of guarding the divine dragon Duke's egg. Now they rely on their comrades and their weapons. The important thing is that he keeps cooking delicious meals. The hero lifted the ancient dragon claw and promised to make something healthy next time. He had no idea that he had unknowingly activated his ability to boost his life force. Because of this, the ancient dragon felt his body grow light. The dizziness and joint pain were gone. His senses sharpened, and he seemed to have become 1,000 years younger. He had already eaten 1,000 servings of pork with ginger, so he set out without hesitation to hunt the demonic boar. An ancient dragon soared into the sky, and the hero panicked. This was a real disaster. They definitely don't have enough spices for 1,000 servings, and Smirnov just couldn't believe it. That's what's really bothering him. He has many hidden traits, but his kindness is truly boundless. Now everything will be fun, and Smirnov is already looking forward to working with the hero, the new boss. The hero was surprised by the nickname, since he was a lord, not some gang leader. As soon as he started complaining, the bandits gathered around and, in their excitement, tossed him up into the air. And at that moment, 2 people approached them. A dark-haired man and a short-haired woman appeared. The man greeted Smirnov and said he had come to take his life. This is Richard, a headhunter from the Underground Guild. The hero learned about the Underground Guild from his father, Oliver. This is a secret group that handles the dirtiest jobs people don't want to hear about. Murders, robberies, kidnappings, and even torture. Oliver said they're involved in politics too, but always stay in the shadows. Smirnov laughed at Richard, recalling how he used to be a star in the Order of the Holy Knights, but now had to scrounge for coins by hunting down bandits. Richard looked at him angrily, amazed at the nerve it took to say that, especially considering he was born a wealthy nobleman but ended up dying as a bandit. Zero was surprised to learn that Smirnov was actually a nobleman, and Smirnov looked at him with a smug smile, as if to say, "Look closely. Don't I seem like someone from an aristocratic background? No matter how you look at it, he totally looks like a real gangster." Amelia even thought he was some kind of wild guy, and Smirnov found it hard to believe since they seemed to be on the same side. But those two will regret it if they're not careful. He looked at Richard again and wanted him to know he hadn't lost any honor. He was just tired of noble lords lining their pockets with other people's money through heavy taxes, so he cut ties with his family and walked away. Richard no longer cared about the reasons, since he was doomed to die anyway. But things wouldn't be that simple because Smirnov had a warrior from the cat-eared tribe on his side. The woman next to Richard pulled back her hood, revealing cat ears just like Amelia's, and when she recognized Amelia's voice, she greeted her. She never imagined she'd run into him there and asked if something had happened. He came to steal the clan's treasure hidden in the forest ruins, Artemis's bow. She probably wouldn't even be able to get it, because the weakest and most useless person in the village definitely couldn't handle the task. There's just no helping that. It all happened because of her nearsightedness. Back then, everyone adored her because she was a true archery star, and some even acted superior, trying to teach her how to shoot properly. Who would have thought her eyesight would suddenly fail? Watching her life spiral downward after that was pretty amusing. She remembered teaching her how to fight. Back then, she couldn't even touch her and looked really upset. When she remembers her face, chills run down her spine, and the hero was about to say something. Stop him, because there's a chance he could end up with more than just scratches. Something serious. The Underground Guild isn't just a bunch of rookies. Each member is a top-tier fighter who could easily be a hero in the eyes of the people, and they only accept those who can single-handedly defeat an entire army. When he fought Richard at the Swordsman's Tournament in the Holy City, he only managed to land one hit. That was his best. And now that scoundrel has become even stronger than before. They expected the swordsman to make exactly that move. It was the smart play. If he had charged in, the hero would have been the first to fall. Since they all seemed so caring towards their friends, she decided to give them one more chance. She approached Amelia and challenged her to try hitting her even once. If she's lucky and hits her target, she can win. Gently patting Amelia on the head to calm her and reassure her that everything will be fine because the god of war is on their side. This is her attack. She can finish it all with a single strike. But Amelia still hesitated because of her vision problems. Come on, girl. All you need is a little confidence and a pair of glasses. He called Amelia over and invited her to give it a try. But if that doesn't work, they'll run away as fast as they can. Finally, their cheers made her smile. She thanked them and decided to do everything she could. Then she went over to the woman from her tribe. Her fist. Just like shooting a bow, the key is to aim carefully and keep your actions steady. Sharpen her vision, focus her thoughts, and calm her heart. She'll give it her all and hit the target every time. Her smug smile almost got on my nerves. She fell face first onto the ground. Could this really be happening? She actually hit her. So she really is a true beast. Richard warned them not to get overconfident after a simple lucky win, as the gap in their strength was huge, and a real one-sided crushing battle was yet to come. Smirnov agreed. It really does look that way. It seems the difference in strength is truly significant. Richard grabbed the sword's hilt and promised Smirnov he would let him die like a true swordsman, but he didn't even get to finish his sentence. Suddenly, Turnov appeared in front of him and struck him in the stomach. Smirnov said there is a difference in strength, but he meant that he himself is stronger. He clutches his stomach and calls him a coward. Is this how bullies fight? Just let him know, Smirnov is no longer alone, because he has met a master he can trust with his sword. They thought only a complete fool would take in a troublesome swordsman like Smirnov, and wondered who that idiot could be. Right there he stood beside them. The new ruler of the sinister forest is the hero Rotwell. They woke the woman and told her the plans had changed. Now they want to kill the hero. During this, Smirnov shouted at the top of his lungs that he would never be able to eat ginger pork again, when suddenly something flashed in the sky. At that very moment, the ancient dragon appeared once again. Both are surprised why the legendary monster appeared right here. The ancient dragon turned to Smirnov and asked who the hell these two were. And Smirnov explained that they were planning to kill the hero. This angered the ancient dragon. How dare they go after his food, or maybe even his companion? It seemed only right to make them his dinner, and with a roar, both charged into battle. All done? Already given up? How pathetic. The hero thought Smirnov had gone a bit too far, but if they didn't act firmly, those people would just come back again. Amelia was truly surprised. She had no idea her attack could be so powerful. Turn it off, he told him, right? They have the war on their side. This sparked the hero's curiosity, and he asked what kind of war it had been. Smirnov explained that he is the hero. Gifted with a special ability to lead people, isn't he? I opened the book. Yes, there are several different types. So this is who the true god of war is. Seems their powers combine, making them incredibly strong. The hero only dreamed of growing stronger alone, but as a ruler, strength means something completely different to him than to others. He had a legendary swordsman who could defeat armies alone, a true saint of the sword world Smirnov. There was also Princess Amelia, an archer who never misses, and can pierce even the strongest hero. Plus, he carries a divine dragon egg and has a loyal ally, an ancient dragon. This is the kind of power a true leader has, one who always puts others before themselves. The hero friends gathered around him, feeling his kindness. So powerful it can rival the army of an entire country. The Rotwell estate office. Oliver faced a woman who explained that after the ceremony, the city grew restless, so the Merchants Guild sent her to find out what was happening. But she never expected he would disinherit his firstborn. Olivera doesn't care who she is, a wise woman or someone else. She has no business meddling in their family matters. And if she has nothing more to do here, she should leave. A woman? Wise Lillian. She waved some document and said no one is worried about it right now. He frowned and told her to tell those fools that now they'd earn even more because they got rid of the incompetent, and he could pay off any debt at any time. She smiled, shrugged, and walked toward the door, deciding to say something since this was probably her last visit. The place where he stands now leads straight to trouble. In the forest, Amelia warned the hero to hide. He kicked the wolf down when it lunged at him. She stopped in front of the hero and the Dragon Lord's egg, then turned around to ask if he was all right. The wild wolves seemed to be after the Dragon Lord's egg, so they'd better leave before the whole pack shows up. Just then, the hero noticed another wolf sneaking up on them. Before hitting Amelia with a branch, the wolf stepped back and began to slowly run away. He turned to Amelia and asked if she was okay, and she replied that everything was fine. We apologized for not noticing sooner, and thought we should have asked Smirnov to accompany us, even if we had to insist, but there's nothing we can do now. The whole Smirnov team is hungover, and only he can handle the problem in the underground guild, while the ancient dragon has gone hunting a demon boar for dinner. There will be even more monsters ahead, and moving forward with just the two of us is way too dangerous. I opened the map. The manor should be nearby, so we should be able to see the village by now. Amelia noticed the roof and pointed it out. Great, now they can finally get some good rest. What they saw looked like ruins, almost like an abandoned haunted house. They had heard this was a harsh land, but still. How could it be that there was neither a village nor a single person here? Even the estate was in ruins. Amelia was sure that this hero would never be appointed Lord of the Ruined Land. He agreed it would be easier if this weren't the place. But unfortunately, it seems they've come to the right spot, so for now they decided to go inside. The building was half ruined, with wild plants already creeping over the stairs and windows. The building is almost completely destroyed. They can only hope there's at least one room left that's safe to stay in. They searched the entire mansion and finally found a decent room, even though a large tree had already grown through it from the yard. It's amazing, but this room is still clean. Probably because the wood shielded it from wind and rain, which might be why everything here is better preserved than in the other rooms. They can safely leave their eggs near the tree roots. Maybe this is the perfect spot to set up their base. And just then, the hero noticed something sparkling among the roots. This is a magical ore used as fuel, and Amelia is puzzled about how it ended up here. It's hard to imagine anyone camping here, so maybe someone just stayed overnight and left this behind. They should appreciate and make good use of it. It's been quite a while, so he's a bit nervous. You can use magic or light a fire in the fireplace with magic. Amelia was surprised that the hero could also use fire magic. He learned it as part of his noble training, but only uses the simplest everyday spells. Amelia knew it sounded harsh, but nobles were truly capable of sacrificing even their own children. The hero's father surely understood the state of the land, yet still made him its ruler. It's like he wrapped a death sentence in a comfortable lie. The hero interrupted her before she could finish and said she must never say that. They say kindness always comes back, but so do hurt feelings and lies. Although she just kept the conversation going, she still felt awkward about lying, pretending her situation was some kind of test of skill. So he asked her to explain why the Minotaur was really chasing her. Actually, Amelia wants to get the divine artifact, the Bow of Artemis, which grants the gift of foresight, so she can use it to save her sister. Divine intuition lets her sense where the target is, even from far away. So despite poor eyesight, she can still use a bow. But what did she mean by saving her sister? Amelia explained that their parents died when they were young, and now she only has her sister left. They recently received an official request from the village's local elite. The idea was for these things to become toys for their son and stay with him for life. Zero thought this was complete madness, and felt she had to refuse. She would have said no if she could. In the tribe of cat warriors, an annual martial arts tournament is held where each family sends a representative who determines their family's rank in the overall standings. Since she became the head of the family, they've always been outsiders. In their clan, the weak must obey the strong, and to save her sister, she'll have to prove her strength in the upcoming tournament, which is just a month away. That's why she needs Artemis's bow. She's seeking clarity and foresight. When it comes to archery, she's confident no one can match her, but her eyesight has gotten worse. When it came down to it, she couldn't even defeat the Minotaur in the temple and completely failed. This chance, her smile, and the future her sister deserves could be taken away. As the older sister and head of the family, she must protect her at all costs. And hearing this determination, the hero asked if she wanted to try something. It might not be a divine revelation from the artifact, but its magic could still come in handy. But he can't promise that everything will work out, nor can he tell her exactly what he'll do. Amelia assured him everything was fine and told him to go ahead, then closed her eyes as the hero had instructed. He gently cupped her face in his hands. Doesn't it feel like a fairy tale where the prince kisses the princess and all the magic instantly fades away? It's something like magic, but she's not ready for it yet. Kiro told her to open her eyes. When she did it, she was wearing glasses she hadn't gotten used to yet. Here, I'll explain that these are glasses, a special device that helps you see better. Amelia asked how he carries those thin lenses with him. Actually, they're made of magical ice, crafted using a metal frame found in Philadelphia. Try using ice instead of a glass. He created this design based on memories from his past life. Oh, so we're just dropping revelations like that? Well, all right. Then he explained that the device might not work perfectly, but if it's adjusted to her vision, she could finally see clearly. Raindrops began to fall, and the main character apologized, thinking the ice was melting, but in truth, those were Amelia's tears. His magic was incredible. Distant objects were still a bit blurry, but he could already see his hands and the entire room clearly. She hugged the hero and thanked him. And one more thing, she finally noticed something else. It's because of his handsome face. The hero blushed and wondered why she suddenly said that. Amelia interrupted him and said to just call her by her first name, no need for formalities. Then she leaned in closer to him. We're getting closer and closer to each other. Girl, I thought you weren't ready for this yet. They were interrupted by a sharp noise. Something had broken nearby. He turned back to the egg. The cloth covering it tore and began to glow. This light is like a book of revelations. These were discoveries about dragons, and he was amazed when the books suddenly began to come together on their own, revealing a new insight. The divine blessing called the Dragon Lord helps tame dragons and triples the strength and endurance of allies. Cracks have appeared on the egg. It's starting to hatch. This divine Dragon Lord is so powerful that even ancient dragons bow before him. But instead of a chick, a tiny child hatched from the egg. The hero went to the backyard to wash his clothes. He died just as he sat down to stretch his back, lost in thought about how everything had turned out that way. Meanwhile, laughter from the little dragons echoed through the bathroom. Amelia struggled to hold her still, warning that if the foam got in her eyes, it would hurt. But the little dragon said the bubbles tickled, so Amelia asked her to bear with it a little. The dragon looked back and asked if her dad, the hero, wouldn't come in, and Amelia explained that he was very busy sewing clothes and doing laundry. By the way, just then the hero called from the door, saying their change of clothes was ready. Hearing his voice, the girl quickly ran to the door, and Amelia rushed after her to stop her. She had already reached the door and asked Hero if he would come with them to the bathroom. He nearly choked on his saliva when he saw Amelia naked and blushed with embarrassment. Julia panicked, struck him on the chin, and begged him to forget this ever happened. Realizing what she'd just done, Amelia immediately apologized. I never imagined it would end like this. Everything was fine until the egg of the Divine Dragon Lord hatched. They were confused when they saw this child. Is the Divine Lord of Dragons truly part of the dragon race like the ancient dragons? Legends say the Divine Lord of Dragons actually belonged to the Dragonkin. In any case, they decided to ask the child directly, but wondered if she would be able to speak right after being born. The children couldn't take their eyes off them. They watched in awe, frozen, unable to look away. The first words she spoke were Mama and Dada. He hugged Amelia and called her Mom. It turns out Amelia found out that dragons can also remember the first person they see after they're born. The little dragon turned to him and called him Dad, then looked at Amelia and said Mom. What are they doing right now? They were offered a bath, and that's exactly what led to the situation we're in now. He'll read the instructions again and finally understand what they meant by growing up slowly, and the importance of the environment in upbringing, never imagining he'd be raising a daughter. If he wanted to raise her here, they wouldn't have proper living conditions, the necessary supplies, or any way to get them. He has so many problems that he just wants to run away, but unfortunately he feels completely powerless. At that moment, a little dragon came up to him and asked if his tummy hurt. She asked if he wanted her to kiss him to make the pain go away, but he reassured her, saying it was okay. He was just lost in thought. By the way, he was surprised that Amelia managed to sew such cute things for the little dragon so quickly. She was genuinely happy that everyone liked it. It was worth all the effort she put into her sheets and canopy. Although she was nervous about whether everything would turn out okay, since she had never dressed anyone before, the hero gave a thumbs up and assured her everything was perfect, and her hair tied back in a ponytail looked really cute too. Dragon Kid joined their conversation. While eating, you laugh and tell her how sweet she is. Dragon Kid asked if she was the mistress of the Divine Dragons, and Amelia confirmed it, saying she truly leads the dragon race as their mistress. The child tried to do it again. Now she seems even sweeter to the hero. Nelia suggested coming up with a nickname for her, since Mistress of the Divine Dragons sounds more like a title for the dragon leader than for her personally. Dragon Kid complains that it's too hard to say, and the hero pauses to think about it. I noticed her red eyes, cute little horns, and that she was the leader of the dragons. Golden Radiant Divine Dragon. Then tell me, what goals are you aiming for? It means golden, from the word gold. And he asked her how she liked her new nickname. She smiled broadly, clearly really enjoying it. Cole approached Amelia and told her about her new nickname. Amelia smiled in response, blushing a little, feeling a bit shy when they called them Mom and Dad, which made her feel a special kind of nervousness. The hero agreed, truly feeling like he had found a new family. He grew up dreaming of becoming a famous lord representing his country, and learned many wise lessons from a great mentor since childhood. Oliver loved talking about money, investments, and finance, and he was sure it was so interesting because these conversations were happening with him. He was the only one who thought that way. Even his twin brother was upset with him. He never had a real family, not even before he was born. The heroine was surprised when Hall offered to do it for her, because she simply enjoyed doing things together. Then she suggested they tell each other they love one another and give a hug. The hero thanked her for teaching him, and Amelia praised his intelligence. Then the hero decided to reward the goal. Bubbles from his laundry. Gold refused because she didn't want to do the laundry. The hero asked her to watch carefully. The blue color shines on the soap, while bubbles happily float through the air. She eagerly reached out her hands toward the bubbles and asked if this was the hero's magic. The hero explained that these are called soap bubbles. Gaul laughed and called Amelia over to see the beautiful bubbles, while the hero felt a bit shy. He approached Amelia, who looked worried, and asked what had happened. He scratched his head and told Amelia she was very beautiful, which made her blush deeply. It's just that today she has a different hairstyle and outfit. She noticed someone was staring at her and asked, "What's wrong?" Everyone suggested that they should kiss. Both of them blush even more deeply. Gold noticed they were kissing when they looked just like that. The hero asked Amelia for help and explained that what happened back then was just a failed attempt. Then he shuddered when he saw Amelia go to prepare the food. Everyone laughed when the hero was pushed away, but then they cheered him on. Just gently pat her on the head. He was determined to do everything he could for her. Despite everything that happened, he would turn this place into a home where people could live happily. She will light up with a smile. Being with him is fun, so she'll laugh often. In his past life, the hero had a younger sister, and because of her, he endured every hardship. When you have someone to protect, you become stronger and find a reason to live. He used to think he was weaker than others, but thanks to Meta, he became stronger. Finally, they heard a scream coming from inside the mansion. Amelia was in trouble. He burst inside and saw Amelia lying unconscious on the floor. How did this even happen? The next day, all three sat on the grass, with Goal resting on Amelia's lap as she raised her hand. Ask if it's a problem that Amelia can't play with the hero when she's playing with her. And yes, it really is a problem. But the hero meant something else. He wants her to look at the suitcase he just opened. Most of their food supplies have already run out. She apologized because it was her fault. Then Goal looked up at her and asked if she had eaten all the food. But that wasn't the real issue. She put the leftover slime with the other food supplies. But it turned out the slime was still alive and ended up eating all the food. Yesterday, Amelia screamed and fainted because a huge slug was sitting inside the bag she opened. The pork they had with them was completely gone, leaving only some slime, a bit of seasoning, and dried meat the hero carried. At that moment, they heard a voice questioning what he had said. He was a man with horns and a braid on the side. When he heard a divine dragon was born, he came to congratulate him, hoping for a good meal. But after that feast, he's still hungry. This is how he treats him. The hero was surprised. They asked who he was. He looked at him reproachfully and asked if he had already forgotten the face of his loyal ally. Hearing this, the hero immediately thought of just one person. An ancient dragon. Who else could it be? Honestly, it's a real miracle they figured it out from just that. The conversation was cut short when Goal's stomach growled, and she asked if breakfast was ready, only to find out there was just dried meat, leaving the ancient dragon shocked. Dragon kids eat more than an adult human, so a little dried meat won't satisfy them at all. That's why they had to act fast. The ancient dragon would even hunt down a giant demon if necessary. Actually, he wanted to ask for a favor. He asked if the hero would agree to be a mentor for the Goal, since every race has its own customs that only they can pass on, and there are probably many things others simply can't teach. The hero crouches down to be eye level with Goal and invites her to choose the path that's right for her. He believes the ancient dragon is right about the value of learning from another dragon to reach a goal and asks what she wanted. Speak to the ancient dragon. He approached him and agreed to play together. The ancient dragon bowed down and showed her respect. However, Goal didn't like formality and always asked to be called simply Goal. That was her rule. When she climbed onto his back, ready to set off, the ancient dragon hesitated for a moment. In the end, they did as she asked, and Amelia made sure they avoided anything dangerous. Now they need to find a way to deal with the food shortage. Amelia suggested going hunting, and since the ancient dragon was assigned the role of mentor, she decided she could be helpful that way too. The War Kadir tribe eats whatever they hunt each day, and if there's any left over, they store it to avoid going hungry even in winter. They can also trade horns and hides for herbs and spices, or turn them into clothing and various tools. But the hero was worried because they had no tools for hunting. Amelia suggested using traps. She has little time, so it'll be faster if she just shows him. First, she will show them the simplest trap. It only requires vines and branches. This hunting method is the first thing even children learn. Animals can sense traps by smell and always use materials found right there. They braid vines growing around the area to make the rope and use tree branches for the trap itself. That's all the preparation. And since there's a nearby animal trail, they'll set the trap right there. The hero was worried that the path from the wicked forest might hide dangerous creatures. Celia assured him that everything would be fine, as she had already checked the place before they set out and found nothing dangerous. It's actually a bit comforting. If there's a forest nearby, you can also gather some wild vegetables there. They still shouldn't let their guard down. A giant slime can swallow an adult whole, which is truly terrifying. They walked further along the path, found a nice spot, and began unpacking their things. After setting the first trap, Amelia decided to place 3 more along the animal trails. The hero smiled as he watched her. It was clear she was having fun and just hoping she could finally help him somehow. Amelia's ear twitched. She sensed something and asked the hero to get the glasses ready. We put on the glasses he gave her and explained that she is not a woman. Seeing the bird calmly perched on the branch, Amelia thought a bow would come in handy right now. Today, she'll use a slingshot, the favorite weapon of the cat-eared tribe, powerful enough to take down big prey. Something like a little bird, even a small pebble will do, but just to be safe, she'll toss it gently. Throws a stone toward the bird, causing a powerful explosion. Amelia held tightly to the hero, both trembling, so much power from such a small stone. Good thing she didn't throw it with full force. She needs to practice and learn to control her power better. It seems that gaining extra strength from divine revelation isn't always a blessing, but luckily, her strike only knocked everyone out instead of killing them. Suddenly, they heard Gol calling to them from the mansion's roof. She happily told them she had learned something interesting and immediately showed it to them. He took a breath, then released a beam of light, and the explosion that destroyed the mountain. The ancient dragon boasted that all of this was thanks to his training. The future leader of the dragon clan is expected to do a lot, and she already knows how to use their most powerful move, the devastating roar. The girl ran to the hero, who praised her and gently patted her head. But it was truly amazing. He thought his entire territory was about to disappear. The hero shouted at the ancient dragon, who thought he was about to be showered with praise. But the hero crossed his arms over his chest and said he wouldn't be having dinner tonight. The ancient dragon couldn't believe it, grabbing the hero by the shoulders and asking why things turned out this way, since he had given him the most powerful dragon weapon that could destroy everything. While the hero said they were just having food problems, right? So, does he realize how many days' worth of food vanished after just one strike? Even wild herbs are a luxury in his lands, and as the lord of these territories, he can't ignore that. The ancient dragon must answer for this as the mentor entrusted with this responsibility. Still, the ancient dragon felt the punishment was too harsh and, as always, asked for it to be softened a bit. But if someone made a mistake, it must be acknowledged, because if the hero turns a blind eye, his realm could fall apart. The old dragon asked Gold to say a few words for him. Instead, she promised to eat all his food. A man with a monocle watched them closely from afar, believing that the Lord's presence in such a remote area could be a profitable opportunity for him. Amelia practiced archery non-stop, thanks to the glasses her hero made for her. Now that I can see clearly, there won't be any problems at next week's martial arts tournament. Regular archery practice and food supplies really help. Now all that's left is to wait for the ancient dragon to deliver the main goods they ordered, and then everything will be ready. Just as the hero turned around, hearing Hall call out to him. When he did it, his teammate joyfully rushed over and gave him a big hug. Amelia asked anxiously if the hero was okay, and he replied that he was barely standing, thanks to a miracle. Then he turned to Gold to find out how her hunt had gone. Cole's eyes lit up when she told him they had gathered plenty of food and even caught something incredible. Something incredible, right? They paused, wondering what it could be. Tom Goal called them to follow her, and they did. When they arrived, they saw a bunch of monsters gathered with an ancient dragon. He faced demons, sea serpents, minotaurs, and even medusas. Heroes are sure he once even asked an ancient dragon for dinner. Why does the game have monsters like minotaurs or medusas that you can't even eat? As we can see, the ancient dragon just wanted to show off, and jellyfish are deadly monsters, perfect for displaying its power. He may be strong, but the hero didn't ask for the main meal without a good reason. The only way to preserve the food here is by smoking the meat, because with so much meat, they won't be able to eat it all before it spoils. And the ancient dragon was surprised to see why everyone feared spoiled food so much. It dies, decomposes, enriches the soil, then plants grow, animals eat them, and life goes on. That's the law of nature. He's not wrong. Their conversation was cut short when the hero reminded her that she could eat a lot of this at once, even if she's small. Next to her, a man kneels, begging for his life to be spared. Amelia asked Goal who the man was, and Goal explained that he had fallen into a pit trap, so she caught him. It smells nice, so it probably tastes good too. At that moment, the man introduced himself as Jack. He handles business here in the Rotwell area and works as a traveling salesman for the Ardmic Company. The hero thought, "You rarely see a traveling merchant around here." But actually, it's not just rare. It's suspicious. What kind of merchant travels without a cart, or at least a bag? Jack explained that all his belongings were here in his bag. The magical artifact he received from his father as a keepsake can easily hold as many items as an entire warehouse. The thing is, along with this, he also inherited all the debts his father had accumulated, which is why he came all the way here. Since a new ruler was chosen in Rotwell, prices have skyrocketed, making almost everything too expensive to buy. And even when something can be brought in, selling it is hardly profitable. He can't earn a steady living, so he travels to other cities to get goods, using this estate as a place to rest along the way. He saw them here last week when he stopped by, so today he came back to officially introduce himself. The hero clenched his fist. Things are bad. The heavy tax burden is hitting harder and faster than he expected. Jack has a magical artifact, allowing him to trade more than most merchants, but even he can't keep the business afloat. If this continues, these two will ruin the lands of Rotwell. Something has to be done before it's too late. I'll ask the heroine what happened and if her catch was really unlucky, but that's not the point. It's just a bit disappointing. A seller who has everything you could want. But if they eat Jack, he won't be able to bring them any more tasty treats. She got confused and asked what she should do because she really wanted to eat something tasty, and first, she should apologize to Jack. Goal lowered her head to Jack and apologized, but she still couldn't take her admiring eyes off him. The hero gently patted her head and praised her for a job well done, while Jack was glad they had cleared up the misunderstanding. Then the hero reached out his hand to Jack. He apologizes for the inconvenience and introduces himself as Hero Rotwell, an adopted member of the Rotwell family sent here by order of the local lord. So, he can keep using the estate just like before. Jack scratched the back of his head and asked if his companion was sure about that, since it would really help him, but Amelia objected, saying Jack might be lying. Scolding the hero for being too kind and letting everyone use the mansion for free. Is he really planning to welcome just anyone here? If he keeps going like this, one day he'll really get hurt, and even then he'll say he's glad it happened to him, though she doesn't want to see it. The hero apologizes to Amelia, but as a lord, he cannot back down on this matter. She leaves people in trouble to protect herself. He will never be able to help those who come to him. And she's right. There will always be those who want to take advantage or deceive him. So if someone asks for help, he will reach out his hand to assist. Amelia pouted. He said it so confidently that she was left speechless. The hero just laughed and apologized for making her worry. Now Jack understands why the hero had dragons and a warrior from the cat-eared tribe fighting by his side. Despite his age, he truly has a huge heart. Zero thought they were giving him too much credit. Maybe he said something bold, but honestly, they have enough problems of their own right now. He is a lord, but his lands are empty. Just a ruined manor and fields covered with piles of flesh and monster corpses, and this is only the beginning of their troubles. In this case, Jack has a proposal for him. I want to buy this pile of monsters from him because he usually trades food, and if it's meat from demon borers, he can easily sell even this much. That would help a lot, but what about the monsters that can't be eaten? No problem. A jellyfish's eye is a valuable magical material, and the minotaur's horns and hooves are among the best for making weapons and armor, while dragon fangs and scales are extremely rare, so he'll put them up for auction. He will deduct the costs of dealing with the monsters and removing their remains from the total amount, so there's no need to worry about that. But there is one problem. Right now, he doesn't have enough money on hand. So, he really tried to trick the hero? Jack waved his hands in panic and insisted it was a misunderstanding, explaining that he simply didn't have enough money right now to buy that much at once. Private deals might have earned him more profit, but he chose to sign an official contract. He pulled a scroll from his bag. The very contracts the Ardmic Trading Company uses for land deals, a magical IOU with payment deferred. Come by once a week to take their orders, then he picks up the goods, and they'll receive full payment for the sales by the end of the following month. The company charges a 5% fee on sales for the warranty, but Jack will cover that 5% himself. But the hero didn't like this. He believed the deal should be fair, and the one in debt always ends up worse off. Yet even just securing a trade route here on the outskirts was already a good outcome for him. Jack apologized and bowed, eager to seal the deal, and then they signed the contract. Ardmic Trading Company often works with noble families, so by their rules, contracts must be signed by either the wife or the heir. Many aristocrats spend money wastefully, but it's mostly a formality, so Jack suggested contacting his wife to handle the paperwork. In that case, the hero asked Amelia to do it. Seeing her surprised look, Jack reassured her that it would only be on paper, so there was nothing to worry about. It might be just on paper for now, but officially, they are already husband and wife. Then the hero asked if she would be willing to act as a guarantor. If this were someone she didn't like, she would have said no, but that's not the case at all. She just wanted him to say it right, even if only on paper. At her request, the hero got down on one knee and asked her to be his wife. Amelia looked away, blushing, ready to agree, when suddenly someone abruptly interrupted their conversation. Isn't it enough that she disgraced the family back in the village, and now she's dragging their name through the mud here too? When someone from this proud military cat clan marries an enemy, it's just disgusting. A woman from the Cat Ears tribe, who fought in the war, holds a bow and orders Amelia to return to the village with her, warning that refusal will cost her life. Amelia wondered why this woman Natasha had come here. Natasha gave her an ultimatum. Either she comes back to the village with her, or she will die by her hands here. The hero asked if Amelia knew this woman, and she said yes, explaining that Natasha had taught her many things back in childhood. She's one of the village's best scouts and believes Natasha was sent to watch her after she left. Natasha denied everything. The issue wasn't that she was leaving, but that people live on this land. The hero couldn't understand why people saw them as a problem here, since these lands had belonged to the Rotwell family for generations. People never even tried to learn the true history of this place. Nearby lived the warrior tribe Katie, and long ago, this was the center from which people hunted the half-humans. She came to check things out after hearing the Lord would be here, but never expected one of their own to side with the humans. Amelia insisted she hadn't done anything wrong. He was on the brink of death after losing the battle, and the hero spent all his money to save him. He's not like the people of the past. Natasha couldn't believe that someone would give expensive medicine to a half-human, since history shows that when half-humans starved, no one even offered them water. Beck tried to explain that people aren't as harsh as they used to be, and suggested they just sit down, have some tea, and talk. Natasha recognized him. It was the traveling merchant who had visited the village before. Does he really think she'll fall for those stories again? The wolves surrounded her when she asked what the hero had mixed into Amelia's medicine, and she decided to hand over this filthy slave trader to the magical wolves to be torn apart. The hero wondered why the magical wolves kept appearing nearby, and soon realized the reason. With so many of them around, they were clearly ready to fight seriously. The ancient dragon asked the hero what to do next, warning that if the hero commands it, he will instantly turn them to ash. But the hero didn't want that. If things got worse now, Amelia would end up in an even tougher spot. If things keep going like this, they'll lose. So he needed to come up with a plan. And sincerely beg for mercy? No, that won't work. They might demand his life instead. If he challenges Natasha to a duel, he simply won't stand a chance because of her strength. Here, neither Dragonheart's wisdom nor experience helps. Just as Marison said, he could really die here, but no, giving up is not an option. There has to be a way out. A bold move to change the situation. He doesn't know what will happen next, but it's worth taking the risk. These are the words Amelia gave him, so he has to follow them for her sake. Natasha saw the Book of Revelations and ordered the magical wolves to prepare for an attack. The hero unveiled the divine revelation, the lottery's sacred scrolls. He was given a special title and presented with the book, Sign, the God of Abundance. He quickly opened the book. What we saw inside was a real revelation. The crops on our land now ripen 3 times faster, especially the tanuki beans and soy. What kind of discovery is that? No, wait, he lost the moment he decided to take the risk. Natasha wondered if he was just trying to buy his way out of this with her. People really seemed to be getting stranger by the day. She readied her bow when she stood in front of the heroine and warned her not to touch her mom and dad, and when asked if by mom she meant Amelia, the girl said yes. Tasha frowned, noting Amelia was struggling with the martial arts tournament and realizing that the only way to help her was with Artemis's bow. She thought she left the village quietly because of that. But in truth, she abandoned her own sister to live among people, so what does she really want? Natasha made her understand. She drew her bow, and Amelia warned the hero to dodge, but he was too late. This attack is inevitable. If he tries to dodge, someone will have to sacrifice themselves. If Amelia covers him, the warrior's tribe's honor stays intact, and if he takes the arrow himself, the mission is accomplished. Tasha released the arrow. Very close to his eyes, he stood still and kept apologizing. But suddenly his eyes snapped open when he heard someone's voice complaining that the leader was the first to give up. Smirnov stopped the arrow with his bare hand. He wondered, what if he split it in 2? The hero valued his life too little. If he disappeared right now, what would happen to them? His words left the hero confused. Everything became clear when I saw the people Smirnov brought, simple farmers and craftsmen, because Smirnov believed they could help the hero. When they returned after leaving the Bandit Guild in Roswell's lands, the former guild members found him. Their lands had been seized for unpaid taxes, leaving them homeless, but the hero felt he couldn't help them alone. Smirnov clarified to him so there would be no misunderstanding. These people didn't come asking for help. They believe they can be of use to him. A place is shaped by everyone who lives there, and anyone who thinks they can do it alone is seriously mistaken. The hero finally realizes he's never lacked strength. The Lord decided that this situation should be resolved peacefully, without any casualties on either side. He will be in charge, and everyone else will follow his instructions clearly. Smirnov will give the signal. He'll neutralize Natasha, Amelia and the ancient dragon will protect the residents, and Gol will stay in the shelter. Once everyone was ready, they decided to move on. The hero activated his divine power, the roar of the Beast King, giving him a better chance to communicate with wild animals. Then he commanded the magical wolves to sit. They obeyed, though they were trembling with fear, while Natasha looked at them in surprise. She noticed Smirnov rushing toward her and thought he looked like a sturdy man. But he's very fast, he managed to wound her. You can grab the knife in just a second. Avoiding the second strike was impossible, so she aimed straight for his neck. She wanted to grab the dagger and take his heart, but before she could do anything, Tiornov defeated her effortlessly. But like the hero, she was willing to give her life for no reason, and it shouldn't be that way. Pasha blushed when Smirnov asked if she understood everything and called her a kitten. For answering that, she did understand after all. They praised Smirnov and thanked him, and in return Smirnov also praised him for a job well done. Gently stroking the magical wolf, who seemed completely unharmed, Smirnov then asked what had just happened. This was one of the hero's special abilities, usually used to fight beastmen. But this time he made his voice even stronger, turning it into a real command. Although he didn't expect it to work on dragons too. Natasha lay on the ground feeling defeated and powerless. Amelia, why do you defend them so much, knowing the history between humans and half-humans? Although Amelia was saved, at first she felt the same way. But the hero looked her straight in the eyes and asked, "Isn't it right to save someone who's dying?" Natasha taught her that cats from the warrior clan always repay their debts. That's their tradition. Natasha smiled. Yes, she was shameless, and turned to the main character, asking what he planned to do with her. Actually, he had no plans for her, but there was one favor he did ask. To safely guide them to the village of the warrior cat tribe, Amelia returns to the martial arts tournament, making it logical for them to head to that tribe's village as well. They are presented clearly and understandably. Natasha confidently led the heroes through the dark thickets of the demonic forest, telling them that the village was just up ahead after they had traveled quite a distance. An ancient dragon, burdened with gold on his shoulders, grumbled about having to walk when flying would have been much faster. If the village is at that level, they can easily take control from the air by bringing them on board. The hero pulled off his hood and declared that doing so was strictly forbidden. No one plans to welcome them as neighbors. There's already a wall between the city, the Katir tribe, and the people, and you never know what might spark a new war. If that happens, the ancient dragon will be banned from eating for life. Admit it. That punishment hardly sounds serious, does it? Nirnov interrupted their conversation and asked the hero if he was sure that this power would be enough, reminding him that it's better to be safe than sorry. Natasha and Amelia are very hostile towards people. What about the other tribe members? Why didn't they all come together? It wouldn't have worked because everyone had their own tasks and responsibilities. They'll be away for about 2 weeks, so the hero asks Jack to take care of the materials and tools. The craftsmen are busy building houses and repairing the mansion, so they can't leave the area unattended. The farmers are working the land, planting blessed rice and soybeans from the revelation as requested, and even the subordinates are helping by dealing with monsters and joining in the work. They asked for a lot, which isn't surprising since they have an important job too. They need to build a good relationship with the War-Kadir tribe. The demonic forest isn't very fertile, so they can't fully support themselves. If they trade goods with the village, both sides will benefit and improve their lives. That's why he dreams of winning the martial arts tournament and becoming a bridge between the forest and the village. Regarding this, Amelia left the village on her own, so she's not sure if they'll let her participate. She believes there won't be any issues with the relocation greeting, but everyone suspects it might not be that simple. It's known what will happen if they try to resist the hero's power. Their clan respects strength, but they understand that true might and reckless bravery are not the same. Smirnov glanced at Natasha as if asking, did they really get it? Since some might rush forward and risk their lives like she would, but Natasha crossed her arms and simply told him to be quiet. Amelia glanced over her shoulder. They also have a secret weapon entrusted to them by Smirnov, ready to be used if needed. I hope they manage to resolve this peacefully after all. They stopped in the hallway leading to the village entrance. A massive fortress, as if shaped by nature itself, stood before them when suddenly they heard a commanding voice. They said they did it on purpose to keep ordinary people like them out of their sacred sanctuary. The woman, who seems to be in charge here, warns them that getting any closer could cost them their lives. The hero apologized for the unexpected visit and introduced himself. They hoped they would be able to talk. They had nothing to say to them. He stepped closer, knowing they weren't very friendly to people, but he asked them to at least hear him out. Suddenly, Smirnov warned the hero to retreat, because the threat from the warrior cat tribe they'd heard about was no joke. The tribe was ready to shoot arrows at the hero on the chief's orders, but Amelia stopped them. She drew the bowstring herself. The hero saved her life, making him special to her, and she won't forgive anyone who tries to harm him, not even the chief, who doubted her ability to hit the target from such a distance with poor eyesight. But with this bow, she's sure to succeed. Tiff was amazed. Could this bow really have divine power? In their tribe, the bow of Artemis was passed down from generation to generation. We found out what they were planning to destroy after convincing Amelia. The ancient dragon was nearby. They had asked him to listen earlier, or maybe they were just too foolish to understand simple words. The boss gave him a stern look and shook his head. Use these two for an argument, like they're competing in an insult battle. The hero stepped forward, standing between them and the dragon, calming them both. But the leader raised his hand, and the moment he stepped forward, thousands of arrows flew straight at them. She warned them, take a step forward and you'll lose your life. Something like that is just a small thing compared to a real ancient dragon. The boss was surprised. Could it be that he had used magic? No, it just twitched one wing slightly. The boss couldn't believe her eyes. The ancient dragon has become a true dragon once again, and a new purpose has appeared in its mind. He was kind and always supported others, which seemed almost unbelievable. He told her she'd regret it, didn't he? The ancient dragon opened its jaws wide, ready to strike. But before he could do anything, the hero used his divine gift and commanded both dragons to sit. The ancient dragon was outraged and asked why he was being blamed when they were the ones who attacked first. The chief stared at them with wide eyes, wondering who this hero could be. Someone who managed to tame a dragon and make it follow him. Turned to the supervisor. As a representative of his region, he apologizes for his companion's rudeness and asks her to forgive their lack of manners. The boss came over, greeted the hero, and introduced herself. She is Esmeralda, the leader of the warrior Kadriar tribe, and she thanked him for choosing not to use his power. In their tribe, strength is respected, and he looked different from the others, so she asked why he had come. Actually, nothing special happened. At first, he just wanted to say hello to them when he moved to the neighboring forest. I heard from Amelia that they're taking part in a martial arts tournament, and he wanted to see their skills. The tribe member started laughing. He said, "Courage? She's a traitor who abandoned the village." Esmeralda apologized for her tribe's behavior, explaining there were important reasons behind it, and added that it wasn't very comfortable to discuss it standing here. She invited them to her mansion to discuss all the details, and they followed Emerald down the hallway. We told them about the great tree where, according to legend, a god lives, and about Artemis's bow, a divine weapon made by the gods. Other ancestors were assigned to guard this sacred tree, which is why their lineage strives to grow stronger. Finally, after leaving the corridor, they reached the village. It was very beautiful. The houses stood not just on the ground, but right on the branches of the trees. It seemed like life and nature lived together here in harmony. 2 elves were standing on the roof of a building. The people were called to the village. Hopefully, this won't interfere with their plans. Meanwhile, the hero and his friends enter the village, amazed by everything around them. They really caught people's attention. Aero noticed the homeless children in the alley and everything happening around them. Smirnov warned him to always be ready to run at a moment's notice. Since they might come asking for help or chasing after them, no one knows, so it's best to stay prepared for anything. Contrary to their expectations, tribe members, especially the women, they just fell right on their heads. And these people are here for the first time. How strong must they be? Smirnov was very surprised because they turned out to be much more popular than he had expected. One of them even asked if he already had a partner. He was just about to wink back at her. She shouted for everyone to step back. These people are Esmeralda's guests, so any disrespect towards them is unacceptable. Smirnov wondered why she was so angry, but she denied his accusation, saying she wasn't angry, just jealous. Then Emerald asked the hero if he was okay. She explained that the villagers are very sensitive to strength and might not hold back with strangers. So if they accidentally offended him, she would like to apologize on their behalf. He was surprised, though pleasantly so, because he truly believed they might be attacked as soon as they entered the village. Everyone agrees that such people really exist, and if they get surrounded again, trouble will follow, so they should hurry back to the mansion. When they entered the mansion, they all headed to the room Emerald used for personal matters and took their places facing the hero's group. Kiro and Amelia looked around the room, admiring it, but quickly turned their attention back to Emerald when she asked them to get down to business. They said they came just to say hello and watch the martial arts tournament, but she doesn't believe that's the real reason they're here. That's right. Actually, they have 2 goals. This is necessary to establish trade with the warrior tribe. Esmeralda understood and asked if they had anything they needed or something they wanted to sell. Let's be honest, it's both. After all, she needs to know what's really going on in their estate, right? This was a land where beastmen hunted humans, and clashes between them never stopped. She had heard that poisons and magic were often used back then. Because of this damage, the land is hard to turn into farmland, and on this blood-stained soil, monsters often gather. Life here is really tough because the land has turned into a barren wasteland. So how are people supposed to trade here? The hero showed that he possessed divine power. Esmeralda was amazed. These were all revelations from the gods, but almost none of these advantages bring him personal gain. However, such great power is definitely highly valued by people. The hero was actually born into the famous noble Rotwell family, but was cast out because of his abilities. His younger brother inherited the family, while the hero was adopted and made a lord. Esmeralda asked what he hoped to achieve on this land after his family betrayed and cast him out. Was it revenge or a thirst for power? The hero clenched his fist. He dreams of a world where everyone lives in harmony, no one goes hungry, and no one has to fight. She said that life here is really hard for people. For now, Amelia and the dragons hunt and trade their catch for food. But as the population grows, there won't be enough food and supplies for everyone. That's why he decided they needed to join forces with the cat-eared tribe, who know the forest life well. Another goal is to save Amelia's younger sister. Hear this story from Amelia. If she doesn't win the tournament, she'll be forced to serve some elite group. Amaral ruined her teeth, which is why she ran away from the village. What a ridiculous situation. Why didn't she consult them before acting? Because of her actions, her sister Amir was also kicked out. Amelia couldn't believe it. Emerald was asked to repeat what she had just said. Emerald had to summon all his courage to tell her they had been kicked out of the village. I interrupted their conversation and said that running away from the village without permission wasn't enough reason for such a harsh punishment. But this sacred rule, passed down through generations, protects the divine tree and their lineage given by the gods. If anyone discovers the location of their village, the tragic events of the past could happen again. If it became known that someone from the weakest family left, it could raise suspicions, and some even betray their tribe to join bandit guilds. He turned to Amelia and asked why she hadn't considered the danger she might bring to her own family, while Amelia was already starting to worry about Amira. Amira is her sister. He rushed to hug her, relieved that she was okay. But why was she here? Emerald answered that question, revealing that she was protecting her. Before the tournament, Amiri was accused of desertion and forcibly taken to serve, while her family lost their status and was exiled to cover up the matter. If that's the case, then the question is, what should Amelia and the others do now? Demerelda respectfully bowed to the hero and asked him to welcome these two into his lands. She knows she's asking too much and it doesn't make sense, but she still begged him to make an exception just this once. The hero asked her to lift her head, as he would be very happy to welcome them both, though he was still worried it might cause conflict with those who oppose people. It's nothing bad, but he should have asked about the kids they saw on the street on the way here. It seems those children ended up in the same situation as Amelia. That's right. The problem isn't that Emeralda simply ignores this trouble, but if she, holding such a position, starts helping the weak, people will turn against her, and even if she tries to protect them, she won't be able to. She's powerless. The quiet children will either be sold to other villages as laborers, or they will perish. They have no other choice now. In this case, the hero suggested involving the children mentioned in the previous trade offers. They need workers to cultivate the land, provide people with food, clothing, and shelter, and also strive to offer education and teach essential skills. Geraldo was surprised why he made such an offer. It was simple. Having two girls in the mansion wouldn't raise any suspicions, and it would also help these kids from the street. She could also visit the children, posing as a relative. Moralda was touched by his kind heart. He was surprisingly mature for his age. At that moment, their conversation was interrupted by a voice declaring that Emeralda cannot act on her own. An elf ambassador from the tribe complained that she has already submitted the paperwork to buy those children, and if she remains unsatisfied, she will buy this girl at any cost. But Emeralda simply told her not to make things up. They could never agree to such a slave contract because what she needed wasn't money, but their future. Her side. They came to help with the tournament, but it was suddenly cancelled, making the signed contract invalid. Is she really ready to break a 1,000-year friendship just for a deal with others? Does she even realize what will happen to their village if the elf chief finds out? Emeralda didn't back down. If anyone wants to bring war to their home, they'll fight to the very end. When the conversation started to get out of hand, the hero stepped in immediately, knowing a war couldn't be allowed to start, and offered his idea. This village belongs to the warrior tribe of the Courtiers, where strength is everything. So they decided to hold an intertribal martial arts tournament to avoid pointless fights, with the winner earning the right to negotiate, which made Emeralda furious. In the Workadir tribe, retreating in battle is a disgrace to the entire clan, and they never accept protection unless they have fought themselves. Then she suggested that the winner should receive one wish from the village that loses. Elf Alexia became interested and decided to represent her tribe in the tournament. In the war for the Kadir tribe, Amelia will fight. The tournament rules allow any type of combat, close or ranged. But the question is, can Amelia handle even Artemis's bow? Amelia assured her that everything was fine because they had more than just divine weapons. Nero was surprised to see her sister's new look, and Amelia explained that what she was wearing on her eyes were glasses, something people invented that can even change a person's fate. She gently stroked Amina's face. Her daughter had grown so much since she last saw her, even with a birthmark just like her mother's. Amina was surprised that Amelia could see now, and indeed she could, clearly, because the hero had opened the window. They looked outside. In their lands, they take great pride in themselves, and their archers shoot so accurately they could hit a falling leaf from a tree 1,000 miles away. Amelia shot an arrow and it flew right past the open window. He hit his head on the building's sign. The hero asked what she thought, but it was clear there was nothing to worry about. It seems the shooting star has returned once again. In this case, the tournament will be a fierce battle for their tribe's honor. and they will give their all to win. In 3 days, the intertribal martial arts tournament will begin. In just 3 days, the long-awaited intertribal martial arts tournament finally took place. In this tournament, 3 tribes will compete against each other, in a vast open arena. The Varkadiers are a tribe of elves who protect the sacred tree and seek ancient wisdom. For the first time, people were allowed into the village, and the strongest warriors from each group were gathered. First, Kim can score goals from very long distances thanks to his incredible power, and Garus is the strongest fighter in the Eared Cat's clan. Secondly, her finely polished magical arrows can pierce even spiderwebs. Meet Alexia, the unmatched magical archer. Once hailed as a prodigy, Amelia left her village before finishing school, and it was the people who ultimately saved her. This is the story of a gifted soul who faced hardship. The fate of their tribes rests on these 3 warriors. The audience booed Amelia, seeing her as a traitor for bowing to the crowd. Smirnov looked around. Everything seemed harsh here, even for enemy territory, and it was nothing like when they first entered the village. She was furious and decided to take down anyone who hurt her mom. Amelia stopped her. She has the glasses Hero gave her, Artemis's biography found by Smirnov, and her support. Together, these will surely help her win. They announced that this martial arts tournament was made possible through a partnership with the Elf tribe, who provided various artifacts. To protect the audience from accidental attacks, a special magical barrier will be placed over the entire battlefield in the grand arena. The events inside will be broadcast live to the sky. And as for the battle rules, participants are free to use revelations and weapons, but killing each other is strictly forbidden. All damage absorbed by the barrier will be redirected to the humanoid decoy. Accurately depict all injuries. If a limb is destroyed, the real fighter will lose the ability to move it. If a warrior takes too much damage, they lose and pass out, and you also can't attack after the enemy's proxy has been destroyed. This is considered a violation, and the offender will be punished with the strongest lightning spell to immobilize them. It looks like the participants are already in their starting positions, so all preparations are complete, and we all need to give the signal to start the match. Without exaggeration, the outcome of this battle will decide who rules these lands, and she's sure everyone will witness a fight worthy of such high stakes. This is how the intertribal combat tournament begins. Amelia hid behind a rock, thinking this spot should be safe enough. Garius is completely hidden while Alexia fires magical arrows. This puts her at a disadvantage because of the shorter range. So for now, she's just watching and waiting to see who makes the first move. At that moment, Harry approaches. Amelia Curse takes the hit herself. The proxy made the same mistake again, which started to worry her. After the announcement of the event, Garius suddenly delivers a powerful strike, knocking out one opponent right at the start. She was able to stand firm only because of the hero's blessing. Without it, it would have all been over for her. I wondered why Garius chose such a risky strategy. And the ancient dragon explained that no one expects an archer to suddenly charge in close, so the move isn't as reckless as it seems. The hero felt that something was wrong. He had a very uneasy feeling. She never imagined Garius would come straight to her. Does he really think he can beat her without any tricks? She won't hesitate to fire back. Amelia took the first shot. And at this level, Garius will definitely dodge. It's crucial that he jumps back so she can strike again. He didn't manage to dodge, and the arrow hit him in the head, and he ran to her again. She shot a few more arrows, but he caught every single one. The chameleon is under attack again. She could no longer fend them off. He leapt sharply onto a tree branch with an aerial move. Why is he taking such a risk? She needs to gather her thoughts. Before she could do anything, Garius suddenly appeared behind her. He knocked her to the ground and pinned her down. His strength is far beyond that of an ordinary beast, and if this keeps up, she's going to lose. But to his surprise, Garius asked her to take him down. He can't believe it. It seems the elves slipped something into his drink, and he had warned her to be careful because they were clearly up to no good. If he has to lose, let it be to one of his own. He believes that even someone as unlucky as her can pierce his heart with that arrow. The warriors of the Kadir tribe would rather die than surrender, and for such a strong guy, asking for defeat is an incredible torment. Amelia can't even imagine how hard it is for him. Just like a true warrior, she will fight with all her might. Amelia pushed Gary away and grabbed an arrow, aiming it right at him. A simple attack won't work, and even a powerful arrow won't solve the problem. But now, with the hero's blessing, she has a chance to succeed. Even someone as unlucky as her can win. No, right now is the only moment when it's possible. She just released the arrows. Thanks to her divine blessing, she can move at lightning speed. A quick series of shots. The other's eyes widened in surprise when he was hit by arrows. Wow, she actually did it! He fell to the ground just as his double vanished. It shocked everyone in the room, while the host announced that Amelia had defeated Garius, and it seemed her failure had led to the defeat of the strongest warrior in their tribe. Amelia clutched her side. She knew the humanoid proxy was supposed to protect her from injury, but she still felt the pain and fatigue. She looked at the exhausted Garius, thinking about the terrible suffering he must have endured. Suddenly, her divine ability to sense danger kicked in. The arrow flew right past her, barely missing her hair. An attack from Alexia's side. I thought Amelia was the loser, but I didn't expect her to dodge the hit. Well, at least I broke her glasses, and that's something to be thankful for. Meanwhile, Helia glared at her fiercely, blood trickling down her cheek. Alexia's attack was avoided, and Amelia was saved thanks to the revelation of the secret of the Candier warrior tribe. Amelia was lucky to avoid this thanks to a revelation, but losing her glasses felt almost like a fatal blow. So why did Alexia, a member of the elven tribe, do it? Amelia decided to ask her what she was up to. She told her about Garius's words. He thinks they're up to something and even tried to poison him, and Alexia was holding a bottle. Maybe this is what she means, the berserker potion she made herself. It eases pain and grants incredible strength beyond human limits, but with a side effect, total loss of self-control. She was curious how Amelia managed to handle and get rid of the side effect on her own, but it seemed her formula still needed some work. Amelia couldn't believe it. Was she really ready to use poison just to win the tournament? Alexia advised her to tell Garius about it. The mighty warrior Garius wanted victory so badly that he even begged her to give him the potion. Usually, she gave him a drug that greatly boosts physical abilities, and Amelia asked what her goal was. Alexia explained that she initially worked in education and was assigned to this village to teach people magic. But in this village, children who don't know how to fight, who have lost or been abandoned by their parents, are left completely alone with nowhere to go. Every year, hundreds of kittens are abandoned and left to fend for themselves, dying alone in dark alleys because of the cruel belief that only strength matters. She tried to make a difference, suggesting many reforms and offering support, but no one listened to her. She left her teaching job to become a village representative and, seeing a shortage of workers in the elven forest, sent abandoned children there under the guise of servitude to give them shelter. Because of this job, the kids called her the devil's slave trader. She was tearing apart relationships between brothers, sisters, and friends, constantly hearing their cries and despair. Her heart could no longer bear it when Garius approached her with an offer. He said that if he became the strongest in the village, he could change everything around, and for that, he needed the power of magical potions. She believed in him and gave him the medicine. But in the end, he got carried away with power, and nothing changed. That's when she understood everything. She needs to take this into her own hands. Alexia shot an arrow and immediately activated her move. Thunder Arrow. Prison. It was a fierce magical attack. Lightning formed a cage around the arrow. This barrier doesn't block magic, so Amelia must surrender before it's too late. Amelia was surprised. Usually a stand-in takes all the damage inside the barrier, so why were there real injuries this time? No matter what, she has to escape from prison, so she shoots an arrow toward Alexia. Did she really think Alexia wouldn't see that attack coming? She just blocked the arrow with her energy shield. In this case, Amelia just needs to exceed those expectations. She quickly ducked behind Alexia and aimed her bow right at her head. At this distance, one protective spell won't be enough, and if she activates Revelation, just one strike will be enough to finish her off. A strong wind rose around Alexia. Amelia was truly physically powerful, but unfortunately she was prepared for this kind of attack too. He summoned an air tornado aimed at Amelia. Her magical attack hits the mark, but just when it seems she's winning, the situation suddenly turns against her, which could be a serious blow. Magic that defends and attacks at the same time isn't so easy to break. Some wondered if Amelia might lose, and the ancient dragon simply said the situation was indeed very serious. He reassured her not to worry because Amelia had magical words that gave her strength, and Gaul asked her to share what those words were. He whispered it in her ear, then encouraged her to say it out loud so Amelia could hear. Both girls shout for Amelia as loudly as they can, hoping she will hear them. His ear twitched when he heard their voices. And even if you fall, try to get back up and decide that it's not time to give up yet. Exia approached her and asked if she still had the strength to keep fighting, because in her view, all options had run out. Amelia's eyes widened in surprise when she saw that all the bow's crystals were shattered, and the secret had already been revealed. No, it's better for her to stay calm and step back, but Alexia definitely won't let that happen. She created a shockwave and quickly aimed her arrow at it. And that's the end. Without glasses, Amelia sees everything blurry at this distance. He couldn't dodge Alexia's attack. A hail of shots hit him all over his body. If only she could make glasses herself. She once learned how, but she can't quite remember what the hero said back then. By then, her glasses had already melted. They're useful, but they run out quickly. That's the tricky part. The hero explained that it was a simple daily magic and encouraged her to try creating something of her own. All she had to do was trim the excess and seal the ice with a clear crust to keep out everything, even air. When working with ice, A convex lens magnifies the image, while a concave lens reduces it. Amelia tilted her head in surprise. She didn't understand a thing. Maybe you felt the same way when you first heard about it. The hero clenched his hand into a fist and held it up to his eye to look through a small gap. Then suggested Amelia try it too, saying it would help her see a bit farther. She gave it a shot and was impressed. Though the effect was subtle, her vision did become noticeably clearer. Actually, if she attaches lenses to both ends of a long tube, she could make a device to see things from a distance. But since you can't stick ice to your hands, it's better for her to learn how to make real glasses. This was her only move left. She clenched her hand into a fist and attached ice on both sides, making the rounded shape bigger. She gradually focuses on the target, then shrinks it, and pulls out the tube. The hero immediately understood what she had in mind. This is a sniper scope. Looks like she'll be making binoculars soon too. In any case, Alexia got annoyed by the nonsense and decided to put an end to it once and for all with a single strike. She drew her bow, readying a quiver full of arrows to hit the target. Amelia did the same. If she can't use her hands, she's pulling it with her legs instead of her hands. Let her attack! A super heavy class rocket. At the same time, Alexia unleashed her most powerful lightning arrow. One arrow collided with a volley of Alexia's arrows. No arrow could pierce her magical shield. Or so she thought, but Amelia's arrow flew past her magic and struck her in the chest. It was impossible. Defeated by failure. Those were her last words before she fainted. With her final effort, she defeated her rival. The host announced that the weakest tribe member delivered the decisive blow. Amelia was the winner, and in this tournament humanity triumphed. Amelia's long-range scope melted just as tears began to stream down her cheeks. She did it. She really pulled it off. To celebrate the victory, the hero prepared food for everyone. Samira had a great time. She never imagined slime could taste so good, and Gol gave her even more different foods to try. It's just fried potatoes, but oh, how delicious they are. The heroine was happy that the color suited her perfectly. Since this is a victory celebration, everyone should eat their fill. Mira admired him because, despite his young age, he leads a large army, knows a lot, and cooks wonderfully. Amelia gently patted her head and agreed that the hero could do and knew everything, and thanks to him, they managed to save her. He didn't agree. Amelia also did a lot for the village, but now she can finally go home, while Gol still has to work hard and take care of the land. Amelia was about to ask what he meant when suddenly she heard someone exclaim in surprise. This was Olesia, and in front of her stood Emeralda, who announced that Olesia had been officially expelled from the clan, and the same fate awaited Garius, who was also banished for the same offense. Both of them should reflect on the shame they brought upon their family. She threw a sheet of paper to Alexia, with everything written down so she could carefully read the details. Alexia asked what would happen to the kittens, and Emeralda replied that there was already an agreement with the hero, so she didn't need to worry about it. The hero spoke up. He had a proposal regarding Alexia and Garius. He would like to invite them over. There are no set rules about exiles, but what exactly did he want to do with them? Alexia covered her chest, though she was barely hiding anything, and accused him of making her his prisoner. Two sisters, Amelia and Amira, angrily told her that the hero would never behave so rudely, and that it was wrong to compare him to Smirnov or insult Smirnov like that. And if not this, then what was he thinking? Smirnov replied that, in his opinion, the hero wasn't planning anything at all. This kind-hearted person always puts others first, but this time things will be different. Divine revelation begins when both sides recognize each other as allies, and by this point, the entire warrior clan should already feel its impact. This confirms that the tribe of warrior cats has officially joined him, and now the hero has become the Great Lord, ruling both the demonic forest and the cat tribe's village. The forces they have at their disposal are incredibly powerful. A former royal swordsman, a princess archer from the catfolk tribe, and two titans from the dragon clan can match the army of an entire great nation. And now warriors from the catfolk tribe have joined them, which is why the elven chief decided to strike first. Cutting all ties with those to blame, he can always claim ignorance, even if accused. Now he no longer has to obey their leader, and if he enters this territory, he'll be officially considered an outsider. By the way, appointing exiles to subordinate positions can spark political controversy. The hero understands this well, and knows that a strong justification is needed. It's not very convenient to travel that far, but honestly, it would be a shame to miss such an opportunity. Alexia is a teacher. From now on, they will be raising children of the cat-eared tribe, so education is essential, and it would be a waste to leave such a person without a purpose. For Garius, it's the same reasons. He can stay completely unnoticed in the shadows, making him perfect for protecting important people like Jack, who is currently looking for new trading partners. And with the expansion of trade, security becomes even more crucial. He scratched his head, clearly thinking about it more deeply than expected. Well, he had to. It was his duty as a lord. Then he turned to Alexia, giving her the option to say no if she didn't want to do it. But he still asked, knowing it wasn't fair. These children need exactly that kind of kindness. The kind that sacrifices everything to save others. One of the children from the tribe with cat ears, who were fighting, approached her. They wanted her to be their teacher, to see or gently stroke a child's face. She will agree to do it if everything suits them and they find her to be the right person. Someone said that Hiro is a good person, and Amelia agreed. He was so good that it was almost a little scary. Everyone decided not to pry or dig into what was bothering her. She has her own suggestion. Amelia showed her strength at the tournament, and as she grows, the path to leading the clan will open up for her. Esmeralda asked her if she wanted to go back to the village, and Amelia looked at the hero, needing to know his thoughts on the matter. He scratched the back of his head, avoiding eye contact, thinking it was a good idea. She could live with her family again and maybe even become the leader someday. Wasn't that great? But Amelia blushed and frowned, wondering what he meant by family if she was his wife. The hero explained that it was just for show, so she shouldn't worry. And besides, families are always better when they're together. Amelia angrily walked up to him and slapped him. He touched his swollen cheek. Saying this in confusion, he saw Amelia start to cry and immediately ran away. Both Gaul and Amira scolded him, insisting that he should still go after Amelia. Though he was confused, he still obeyed and followed her. Esmeralda just sighed as she watched them. He thought the hero was exceptional, but he turned out to be quite inexperienced. The ancient dragon responded as if it had been entirely expected. Managing a domain is a big responsibility, but it's easy to forget that it's still young, right in the prime of its youth. The hero saw Amelia standing with her back to him by the tree. When they first met, she felt she couldn't rely on him. The more time she spent with him, the more she realized how amazing he was. Like he casually used an elixir, knew hundreds of secrets, mastered magic, and even made her a pair of glasses. Although the hero believed he had gained knowledge and divine revelations by chance, he always insisted that he was nothing special. He truly believes that this is the truth. Amelia couldn't stand that stubbornness. Even his stubbornness is one of the reasons she loves him so much. He moved closer to him. He grabbed his clothes and leaned against them. She's no longer needed? So he's asking her to return to the village? Can't she stay with him? Is this really the end? The hero hugged her and apologized, saying he never meant to act that way. Actually, he loved her too. Amelia just wished the heroes would admit their feelings right away. And honestly, he was still just as unreliable as before. But even so, he didn't want her to leave. Then they leaned toward each other and kissed. After the confession, they stood side by side, admiring the beautiful view. And Amelia blushed, thinking they wished they had a place like that too, maybe even one of their own. And it seems he was talking about the view. When they return, the hero hopes the treated fields will be settled, and at least some crops will grow. Maybe the land will finally look cared for. And though he doesn't know when, he dreams of peacefully creating gardens someday. Amelia asked why he was in such a hurry to build the estate, and if there was a reason he insisted she return to the village. His suspicions turned into certainty when Smirnov brought the expert, confirming that his territory is truly in serious danger. So it turns out the signs have actually been there for a long time, if you think about it. The finances of Rotwell's territories could soon collapse completely. Manner of the Count in the Rotwell territory. A bowl of soup and a few pieces of bread were served on the lunch table. He angrily pushed the plate toward the chef and asked what it was. The Rotwell family was granted the title of Earl for their role as protectors of the royal family. So how could he serve simple food to him, the head of the family? Harrison took a spoonful of soup and tried to calm his father, saying that sometimes it's good to eat something like this. Then he turned to the cook and asked how long he had been working there, and the cook replied that it had been 20 years. He has been working here since before Marison was born, so after all these years, his salary must be quite substantial, and he assumed the boss lived comfortably. The boss waved him off, refusing. He had 3 daughters, so money was always tight in his family. But it's the greatest honor to cook for the Count, and his family takes pride in him working for the Rotwell family. In this case, he is being released today. The chef knelt before him, begging for one more chance. He says it's been getting harder to find good ingredients lately, and though he's never wanted to serve anything less than quality, he's worried about losing his job because of it. The mother would have ended up on the street, and the daughters might have resented their helpless father for life. If you think about it, that would really be too cruel. What about him bringing his family to work as his personal caregivers? Harrison turned to his father to ask for permission, and Oliver just told him to do whatever he wants. Harrison waved cheerfully at the chef being dragged away by the guards and ordered them to bring his entire family here quickly, warning that if they tried to escape, he would execute every one of them. Oliver watched Morrison, never able to figure out what his son was thinking. But now that the hero was cast out, His true nature finally showed. It seems he's been quietly plotting something lately. So if needed, Oliver will rely on his prophetic vision. Marison wondered how it all happened and asked Oliver if he knew anything about it. Oliver then called Mars. She acts as both secretary and maid. He asked about the current financial situation and ordered her to bring the quarterly income and expense report. Mars handed him the report, but as soon as he read it, he jumped up from his chair in surprise and even knocked it over. He had many questions, like why tax revenues were so low. Why is it that farmers only pay half the expected taxes, and why is the harvest so poor? Mars apologized for interrupting. Actually, the crops are growing, but the drought has affected their yield. Oliver had heard that after the volcano erupted in the mountains, it rained, so the crops weren't completely destroyed. Thanks to Morrison's divine revelations, the crops should grow faster. But is that just an excuse to dodge taxes? Well, the thing is, even with Morrison's divine revelations, it seems the harvest is growing slower than before, and it's still not enough. Morrison, reading the report, finally understood what was going on. There are trading companies that now pay almost no taxes compared to before, which is why budget revenues are falling. The Mardmik Trading Guild brings in many rare and valuable goods. Sea serpent scales, jellyfish eyes, and demon meat. Treasures prized by all. Taxes for trading companies are based on profits, so if they only buy goods without selling, they don't pay taxes. By using this method, they can sell products in high-priced countries and earn profits without paying taxes. She got angry at them and asked where the goods came from, and it turned out they were from Wildwood. Marison smiled and told Oliver about the rumors he had heard, even though they seemed impossible. Right now, in Wildwood, there's a village where refugees are hiding, and that's where the savior lives, leading a dragon. The whole land on her side is cursed, soaked with the blood of animals hunted by humans, so it was nothing but a pointless fantasy. Then he turned to Mars and asked him to bring Lillian, but she had already left, saying she was going after the hero. As a forest witch, she definitely knows something. Oliver exclaimed in surprise and asked what had happened up north. On Mars, they thought there was no need to rush since they were just barbarians. But a few days ago, those barbarians started taking over their territory. Oliver grabbed her by the collar and asked why she hadn't told him right away, reminding her that he had warned the barbarians would act through Lillian. Their military strength rivals that of the kingdom's army, and now, with their delayed response, no one knows how much damage they could cause. Suddenly, he remembered what Lillian had told him earlier in the office. Tax troubles, a wave of barbarians, and now a refugee village under a dragon's protection. How did all this even happen? Twins were born, and with them came true miracles. The crops began to grow twice as fast as usual, and Oliver was convinced that one of the babies was chosen, carrying a special divine message. During Oracle's reign, it was Morrison, the eldest, who received the revelation, while the hero was seen as a failure. So he drove away the one who seemed useless. But after that, the harvests dropped by more than half, and tax revenues fell sharply. He made the wrong choice. He messed up both with the divine gifts and something went wrong with the dragon. Everything just went wrong. Was all of this the result of the hero's discovery? Could it be possible? Maybe he accepted his exile because it was part of some greater plan. No, he's just naive and ridiculously kind. Even when he was fired from a job he'd held for 10 years, he didn't get upset. Now that's foolish, because people don't change that easily, and neither does he. Everyone knew him as a hero from a past life. This is the very person who caused his downfall in a past life, and he was shocked to see her with Hoshikawa Industries. He struggled after his parents died, but the real reason was Oliver. He caused the accident by driving drunk on a rainy day, with no witnesses or cameras, and since all the victims worked for his company, it was easy to cover it up. He even caused a scandal over a life insurance payout, used that money to save his failing guild, and then lived peacefully afterward. He lives like that in this world because that's just how things are here. He's the type who's always scheming to take something from someone, unmatched in sly tricks. So what will he come up with next? Harrison leaned on the table and said, "If the rescuer can't come up with a good plan, then let him work for them." Oliver didn't agree right away. He thought it was simply impossible, and believed there was no need to bow down to a rejected inheritance or go that far. Whalewood belongs to the Rotwell estate, and the hero was simply allowed to manage it. That's all. If there's a village or a dragon there, they legally belong to them too. So he came up with a plan. George may be a minor noble, but he's an exceptionally skilled swordsman. Almost a master, just shy of the title. With the power of a dragon, those northern barbarians could have vanished quickly. But when they appeared, they were destroyed instead. He ordered George to go to the village and announce the royal decree. The dragon and its tamer must urgently head to the northern front. George will lead a squad of dragon mercenaries and become the savior of his land. But imagine if everyone finds out that the exiled heir is coming home with a dragon. If people find out about this, they might get angry and start a rebellion, so the authorities will just label the village as a heretic stronghold and wipe it off the map completely. Just say the whole village was a gathering of heretics and act like it never existed. George was ordered to go to Wildwood, find the dragon and its master, and with their power, defeat the northern barbarians. Having accepted his leadership, if they resist, Oliver's main goal is just to gain the dragon's power. Everything else is up to him. Now he can control the dragon himself, so he no longer needs the dragon master. And if anyone dares to disobey the king's order, he'll burn the whole village to the ground. George agreed and set off for Wildwood. Oliver sat at his desk in the Rotwell estate office, lost in thought about the situation. If they gain the power of the dragon, a century of prosperity awaits them. And with such strength, even building their own nation will no longer seem like just a dream. What do you think about the borderlands? The people there exist only to enrich their lord. They must live in submission and obey without question. Once, in a past life, he said that if the hero wanted to use his knowledge, he would have to be reborn. But he was wrong. No matter how hard the hero tries or how much he puzzles over it, he just can't succeed. Oliver will take everything from him, even in this world. We're back again in the Demon Forest. Finally, he returns to Wildwood with his team. Amelia apologized because she never imagined they would stay in the village for a whole month. The main character reassured her that everything was fine since a sudden heavy rain was beyond their control. But thanks to it, they learned about various local sites and projects, and he also got a closer look at the real history and geography, making it a valuable experience. Smirnoff asked if it was really okay to leave the area for so long, but the hero had everything planned, so there was nothing to worry about. He sent the ancient dragon and Amira back first to keep an eye on things, and Gold went with them, so they'd be sure to report everything if anything happened. But Smirnoff reminded him not to get too relaxed, warning that outside the nest is a dangerous place, which made the hero pause and think about what he really meant. Natasha spotted the tracks of a large pack of demonic wolves, so they're still somewhere nearby. He shouted in surprise when a demonic wolf suddenly jumped out of the bushes and appeared right behind him. Nardnoff and Natasha quickly stood up and walked over to him, but it turned out to be just a little puppy. Gold and Amara stepped out of the bushes and said that the hero had helped them catch Kiro. The hero was surprised when he saw the target in Amiri and asked who this hero was. This little one is named Amelia Lapka, a name given to her by an ancient dragon. He realized he was facing an incredibly rare, evolved demonic creature, a true Cerberus, a demon wolf. Everyone explained that Cerber Kiro had been abused, so she decided to help him. If he stayed on the street, he'd be hurt again, but the ancient dragon was unfriendly and said he wouldn't let him into the house. She said that if the hero agrees, Kiro can stay, so she asked the hero if it was okay to leave Kiro at home. Tiro asked Natasha if he could keep the demon wolf, and she said it was no problem. Take care of him, and he'll start seeing people as part of his pack. Get used to them and grow attached. With proper training, he can be used for hunting or as a guard dog, which is why the hero insisted on keeping Kiro. And after a moment's thought, they decided to take Kiro into their territory, though Smirnoff and Natasha looked a bit unsure. After all, having a Dragon Lord and Cerberus on the same team could probably destroy a few countries. The mirror sat down and smiled. Now they didn't have to worry about the scary allies bullying them. Mission accomplished, and with Kiro part of the family, she could tell everyone there was nothing left to fear. Then she remembered something and told the hero that there were problems at home, so everyone was waiting for him to come back and talk. Hearing this, he quickly rushed to the gates, his mind racing through every possible scenario of what could have happened. Was it monsters or bandits attacking? No, maybe an epidemic. He thought everything was under control since the ancient dragon was there. So what really happened? As soon as they reached this area, he was surprised to see that the village no longer looked like ruins. Instead, the fields are well tended and the estates have been fully restored, so it really was important and awesome. The ancient dragon approached them and noticed that it seemed Kiro had been accepted too. The raven scolded him for leaving such a small child alone, while the ancient dragon explained that Gol found Kiro only after the barrier was already in place. Dragons use a special spell to guard their treasures. No one with bad intentions or without the owner's permission can get inside, and once the barrier is set, there's no way around it. The hero was surprised why anyone would put up a barrier at all, which even made the ancient dragon furrow his brows. He asked, "What do you mean, why?" He believes that 30 units of courage are a fair price to pay for patrolling the skies every day. The barrier is up so the enemies won't get through. Everything should be fine, right? He argued that if he put up such a barrier, what would the new settlers do when they arrived? At that moment, Jack appeared from behind to calm him down, confident that the ancient dragon meant no harm. Then he joked that if he had come back any later, he would have almost spent all the leftover money on alcohol. And what exactly did he mean by leftover? Jack scratched the back of his head, surprised himself. He had just brought in farming equipment recently, and already 2 weeks later, he heard the news that the wheat and soybean harvest was done. Right now, new crops are growing in the fields. The warehouse is now completely full, so the extra goods were sold in the city, and the hero kept the profit as his own income. 2 harvests in 1 month. This could be the result of the hero's divine revelation. If so, the food shortage can be solved, but a quick harvest might bring other challenges. He called to the woman who was standing by the field. Ask if she has any difficulties or problems in her daily life. Actually, they're short on hands because the crops grow so fast. They constantly have to clear new land and rotate fields, or the soil just gets worn out. And the hero thought to himself, things seem to move much faster here than on the fields near Rotwell. The woman agreed with a heavy sigh, while the men, however, don't help at all. They fixed up the mansion and built the sheds without any issues, but after that they barely do anything, just invite the ancient dragon to parties every day. They said they didn't have enough carpenters, so they sent the men to help there, while the women stayed behind to clear the fields on their own while the men rested. The hero glanced at the ancient dragon, who was sweating heavily, and everything suddenly became clear. We need to talk to everyone right away. He's asking the women to call the men and come to the estate, while Amelia and the others help gather the people. After they went off to carry out his order, I asked Jack how much personal money he has. They now have 300 gold coins saved up. The hero nodded with satisfaction. Soon he exclaimed in surprise when he saw such a large amount. Jack explained that the money came from selling rare materials, ingredients, and harvested crops, so the price was already very reasonable. 1 gold coin equals 10 silver coins, and an average family earns about 250 silver coins a year. He had enough of his own money to run this territory for a full 10 years. The labor shortage can be addressed by employing child beast people. While there will be extra costs, it seems enough to meet everyone's needs for a while. Amelia asked what he meant. Was he really planning to support all the citizens on his own? He wouldn't exactly call it supporting. In fact, he gets everything he needs because people pay taxes, give money, and share part of their harvest, which is how he can eat. That's why when a noble lives in luxury, ordinary people suffer. Those with high status or positions carry the same social responsibilities and duties, so a lord must support their people as much as possible. The group disagreed with him and said that it was completely unacceptable. She understands what he means but believes it's not right to take full responsibility for other people's lives, especially since those who came here aren't beggars. She wasn't sure she fully understood, but asked him to explain exactly what he wanted to do. The hero dreamed of creating a world without hunger. No, that wasn't quite it yet. He dreams of creating a society where people live without walls, helping and supporting each other. He clenched his hand, a habit from his past life, certain that this world was full of cruelty and senselessness. In feudal society, there were only 2 classes, the oppressors and the oppressed, where nobles imposed heavy taxes and lived in luxury while ordinary people suffered constantly. Thanks to the knowledge he gained, he knows many ways to make money, and by applying this knowledge to create a system that generates profit even with high taxes, it's possible to build a stable society with strong social protections. If they succeed in building a city where everyone lives happily, neighboring lands and even countries will want to do the same, and that's exactly how he plans to spread this idea. Gradually, step by step. The Wheel of Fortune. Amelia wondered if it was really possible to change the world, but the hero just smiled, knowing that while others had always helped him before, now it was his turn to prove what he was capable of. At first, he wants every citizen to take part in community projects together. As everyone gathered at the Lord's estate, thanked them for all the repairs on the estate and for taking care of the houses while he was away. He was informed about the situation, and after hearing everything, he decided that immediate action was necessary. I want to ask everyone to do this. At some government construction sites. Smirnov sighed. He did tell him, right? He had never heard of it, and said it was just because Smirnov came from a noble family and didn't know about such things. Well, if even farmers and builders don't know about this, there's nothing to be done. Our hero will explain everything quickly now. Those in charge of the land sometimes organize construction projects, like building bridges or castle gates, which is pretty much what public works are. He will pay for everything, and wants everyone to help develop and build this area. Smirnov asked what exactly they would be building, a road, a bridge, or maybe a villa. No, the hero wants them to build their own homes. They can choose any spot on the property to build, as long as they let us know in advance where it will be. And no one even protests. Doesn't that seem a bit too much? He turned to him and asked if Smirnov thought building your own house was too difficult. Smirnov frowned and told him not to pretend he didn't understand. When the nobility builds something, it's basically just another way to collect taxes. Those who can't pay money are forced to build roads and bridges, and then everyone is charged tolls to cover their unpaid taxes. They force people to build houses just so they can tax them for living in them. Well, this method does collect money quickly. Even a fair ruler would find it too harsh. The peasants agreed with him, saying they had nothing left anyway. So if the hero did something like that, they would have no choice but to take their own lives. They say everything is done for the people, but in reality, they force us to build what only benefits themselves. There have already been many such heroes. He told them not to worry. He would pay their salaries and wouldn't take taxes. Now Smirnov was even more confused. Was he really going to build them houses? Let them live there for free and still pay their salaries? Was this some kind of joke? They explained that payments would only be made during construction, and even then, the amount would be just about 20 silver coins. Smirnov asked what the hero was trying to pull. The hero argued that the main goals of government projects can be grouped into 3 categories: industrial development, improving quality of life, and maintaining territories in good condition. Once, this land was completely self-sufficient and untouched. To grow, it needed investment and a foundation for industry, with public works playing a key role in that progress. Mironov agreed that might be true, but shouldn't it still be a domain? He can't manage a domain without taxes, so how does he expect to collect taxes just by building houses? That's why improving quality of life is so important. As living standards rise, productivity goes up too, and the crops grown here are then distributed worldwide through trading companies. The profits of these companies become tax revenues, which help fund new projects. Beck was genuinely impressed by the hero's plan to develop the economy on barren land, and today he learned something new. But this is just the beginning. First, they will allocate resources wisely, with the main goal being to stabilize their economy. The main problem now is a shortage of people. If this keeps up, everything will fall apart. But the hero reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, we'll handle it. The kids from the warrior cat tribe will be working." One of the villagers asked if he had gone to the beast people's settlement to buy slaves. But the hero assured him that wasn't true. In fact, these children really have no parents or home. Recently, Amelia won a martial arts tournament, and as a reward, she was allowed to bring these kids to work on the premises, but in return, she has to provide them with education and care. The Day and cat-eared tribes are now allies, so there are no leaders or followers among them. For now, they'll live in the mansion, and their next task is to build dormitories and a school. The peasant crossed his arms, understanding what the hero wanted. But since their village had almost no children, he doubted it would be that easy, though he still held on to a small hope. The hosts warmly welcome the children and ask them to call them Mom and Dad, as they truly consider all these children their own. Amelia never imagined that talking to people could bring her so much joy. This is exactly the kind of happiness the hero was talking about. Meanwhile, the hero's book cover changed, showing he had earned another point. It seems this counts as a good deed too, and he'll truly have to show his gratitude for the happiness he's received. Well, now he's about to reveal his divine revelation to everyone. Divine revelation grants sacred texts from the gods for good deeds, but which text you receive depends on your luck. After that, he activated the divine revelation, the lottery of the Holy Scriptures. A rare treasure, the sacred book of Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry. A small pouch of seeds appeared in his book. Right now, this plant is called Breath of Prosperity here in Frenzy. It looks pretty dangerous, maybe even poisonous. If it's left here, something bad could happen. So maybe it's best to just throw it in the fireplace and forget about it. But the villagers stopped him. They say the seeds he was about to plant belong to a grape variety that's already extinct, a rare and valuable elite grape. Usually, grapes aren't harvested until about 10 years after planting, but this variety can be picked in just 3 years. There's even a myth that its flavor was so divine, the gods took it from humans to make their own wine. These grapes are truly amazing. Maybe they could turn them into a signature product of their region. But Amelia worried that people might get suspicious if grapes suddenly appeared at the market that were thought to be extinct. Like a true trading master, he quickly found a way out. Simply saying it came from a dangerous forest always leaves room to make something up and explain. Living off the leftovers of an ancient dragon isn't the best way for a hero to make a living, so turning those grapes into wine sounds like a pretty good idea. Looks like it's time for Amelia and the warrior tribe kids to step up. Brewing sake has traditionally been seen as women's work, so it was natural to entrust the task to them, and Smirnov agreed with this. He's not one to believe in superstitions, but there's a legend that if sake is brewed by anyone other than a pure maiden, the gods will be angered and the entire batch will spoil. They say grapes are sacred to the gods, so it's probably best to honor that tradition. They agreed too. Since the seeds were a gift from the gods, it was best to trust Amelia and the others to handle the brewing, sticking to the legend. But besides regular farming and fieldwork, you also need to take care of the vineyards and make the wine. After all their efforts to gather land for farming, they still won't have enough hands to work it. The hero needed to think things through carefully, because when it comes to people, rushing is never a good idea. If they recruit people openly, it's hard to predict who might join them. But if they invite settlers, they must ensure strong protection. Even if they hire experts, they'll have to trust them with a lost variety. And there's no guarantee those experts will keep the secret until the product hits the market. In that case, maybe he should handle both farming and brewing himself, but is that even realistic? In his past life, he did everything on his own, worked, handled chores, and took care of his younger sister. Because he had no choice, so he just got things done. With a little effort, he could probably handle anything. As if reading his thoughts, Amelia immediately objected, saying there was no way he could manage the entire territory on his own. That's why he should trust them and rely on them. Just as he was about to do everything himself again, right? The hero chuckled awkwardly, realizing she had completely figured him out. He hoped to find people in the city willing to help and work together. He was just a bit nervous, that's all. While Amelia believed everything would be fine. The circle of happiness he spoke about is already spreading, so she's sure that wonderful people will come to this mysterious forest. They say that happiness attracts even more happiness. At the same time, George and his men finally reached the hero's territory. Stopped in front of the ancient dragon barrier. One of his men asked what they should do next and suggested going back to Rotwell's territory to come up with a new plan, but that was out of the question. After Gol, Amira, and Kiro asked who he was, he almost immediately turned around. The ancient dragon told them that if someone can't get past the barrier, it means they're not very good, so they need to be careful. And that's when they remembered Rotwell. When George found out the rumors about the dragon were true, he immediately changed his behavior and told Gol she had misunderstood everything. She pretended to be helpless and said she'd heard about a village nearby, so she ran away from Rotwell and ended up here. We asked her to tell the hero that there are people gathered here who need help. The Raptor series ended with Chapter 18. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the manga. Have a great day.